that.
housing.
There we go.
But he hasn't offered many details on that front, and he's also said he wants to deport 15 to 20 million undocumented workers who he is blaming for increasing housing demand, something that Senator Vance says he supports. But mass deportation could also impact the workforce needed to build homes here as well.
TikTok chat successfully.
Yeah, so many questions on how if they will actually be able to pull off that plan, Jolene.
Exactly.
It's just not working, is it?
I want to ask you a quick question about this. The economy, compared to where the country was during the pandemic, and compared to how that has wrecked economies all over the world.
I gotta pull up all of the chats here. That's the only downside is I gotta pull up chats.
Inflation is coming down. The jobs numbers are good. Can the Harris campaign say any of that without looking out of touch? And are they in the same bind that Joe Biden was in when he was running?
I think Harris approaches it a little differently than Biden did.
I typed in I found my apartment through my school and on apartments.com, and then it made it an attached link, but then it removed the text from the text that I sent.
Look at this legislation that I passed. And yes, we need to do
I'm just saying it doesn't make sense with the text I sent.
And I've got a record.
Because it puts the attachment at the top of the message.
Into the notion that more needs to be done to help American families. She talks a lot about
there we go. Okay, we got all
and they're mad autistic. They're not going to be able to read what I wrote. Or maybe they'll have a better time reading what I wrote.
Hi, Tommy. Thank you for the test message. I'm trying to get stuff to work on my end.
Oh, are we like live? Like
yeah,
they
we're
can
like
hear us live.
Oh,
hi guys.
Our polling shows that while Trump does still have
what do you think I was saying when I said I'm going live?
I just thought you meant you were pressing the button. I didn't know I could be heard yet.
Minutes away from the vice presidential debate, you are
I
watching.
went
Damn.
live.
I know, but still, I thought we were doing like a little I don't know. We had yeah, that's fair. No, you're right. I got no excuse.
Wait, why is this is this working?
Nature knows best.
Okay, it is. Cool,
That's
cool.
why new chapter
I just gotta be sure.
Follows her example.
I'll check a few things.
Just got home. I can tell by the loud, high-pitched noises he's deciding to make.
It's the loud, high-pitched noise. That's just me. To be fair.
Is this working?
Is this working? Shut the fuck up.
Is this
Hi,
working?
Dan. Diamond Dan. How's it going? Today, in case y'all don't know, as we have done with the past couple of years of debates, including the primaries and all of that, we're playing presidential, or vice presidential in this case, debate bingo, in which essentially we have a debate board. And for those on verticals, look at that bingo board. Wow. And essentially what happens here is if they mention one of these, that space gets filled in and I take a sip of my drink. Tonight we are starting very, very simple with beer and we'll work our way up from there. Geek is doing edibles instead.
I cannot drink on my medication, so yes, I am. So I'm doing it a little differently. I can't really take like shots worth of edibles. So every 5 that gets filled in will be another 5 milligrams that I decide to take. I have pre-gamed, and I took 10 about 10-15 minutes ago. So by the time Ava starts to get buzzed, I'll be 10 milligrams in.
And then at the end of the night, when I'm dead, Geek will be vibing.
I'll just be vibing. I'll continue to fail my Duolingo.
Damn.
No matter what kind
That's
of
so
teeth
funny.
you gotta brush.
I actually deleted Duolingo. I'm done.
Really?
I don't feel like I had like 370-day streak, and I just
That's
I was done.
crazy.
It was also like the only platform that my ex decided to reach out to me on. So
Wait,
I
you
just
can
rather
message
not give her
people on
that.
Duolingo?
I'm not even joking. Every time like I would reach like a milestone, she would comment.
Why can you message people on Duolingo?
Or not comment. You can react.
Oh gosh.
And so every time I hit some milestone, and then she has the audacity to like try to do like a friend streak with me.
That's so weird.
And try to do like the quests that they sometimes give you.
I hate that. That's so weird.
It was it's an interesting strat.
Yeah.
Not like I blocked her. She could reach out if she really wanted to. Would I answer back?
Duolingo,
No. But
Duolingo is the way that you do. Chat,
Yeah.
that's like undoubtable riz there. It's just hidden
Exclusively
above
Duolingo.
Duolingo app. That's crazy.
Welcome back to the vice presidential debate coverage on CBS.
Oh, do we want our backgrounds blue and red?
With all of our colleagues in the press corps
Oh,
out there.
that's
Res-
so
respect-
genius.
From the
Respectively?
actual debate location.
Like, do you want
And,
blue and I'll do
we've
red?
seen major news today of a debate before, and we're sure getting it today.
You'll see who I'm rooting for. Yeah, Vance.
Oh no.
Yeah, couch fucker.
Primary debate.
Let me see. I think I can do
And that
both,
morning,
honestly.
Antonin Scalia
Uh-oh,
died, and suddenly you had
my
to
roommates are
flip all the
home.
questions and focus on the future of the Supreme
One
Court,
of them
which
is
probably hasn't been a top of
I
mind
think fine
concern.
with like political
Well, look at
stuff.
what's
I don't
happened in
know
the
about
last few
my other
days.
guy.
It's only October 1,
I don't know if she's
but in
down.
essence, we've had some surprises. The intensification
Oh
of
yeah,
the
no shit. My
situation in the
fucking
Middle
hotspot
East,
isn't on.
major
I
storms
can't connect to my
ravaging
light.
the southeast that are now going to cause some debate over spending and climate change. All of
All right,
them
so
are
you're doing blue and
reminding
red.
this
I'm gonna do
president,
red and
whoever is
blue.
president, faces all sorts of unexpected challenges that suddenly can prop up.
Everyone say wow,
And,
good
It'll
job.
be interesting to see tonight exactly how that factors in
There we
to
go.
the debate.
Don't
Cecilia?
all say it at once. It's
All right,
okay.
The
We don't
red,
get
the
to
red
go
doesn't
anywhere.
show
We're
up
gonna be
as well on
checking
mine,
back in with you when
honestly.
it is all
Does it?
over, and we are
Mm.
now just
I mean, it kind of
officially
does, but I'm gonna do
minutes
the
away
blue
from the
for
start of
that
this debate.
side.
I want to get your final thoughts,
There we
Major.
go.
I want to start with you because
Okay.
we've
me
been
Means
saying so
that
much
blue
the
about
one
here.
behind me
tonight.
is red and the
How
one
much of tonight is about the audience
next to me is
of one
blue.
for JD Vance?
A considerable amount. President Trump has
Right.
expectations.
There we go.
Is
Oh,
that
I can
a-
also do. Wait, I can do red, white, and
so
blue.
thoroughly laid out. At age 40,
I
his
cannot.
entire political career is ahead of him. If this
There we
ticket
go.
does not
Here's my red
prevail,
and
the
blue.
Republican Party will find itself
setting
in
up the
an uncomfortable
America
and
colors.
unwelcome and unwanted post-Trump era. What
USA.
roles J.D. Vance played in that?
USA.
Is that
A
working?
considerable
USA.
amount of that decision will be
USA.
drawn from what
And
he
it's
does
technically have a
tonight. He
white
knows
light
that.
on my face and
In
Easier to
contrast,
my
do
overhead,
that.
Walz is
but it's
6
really
foot
warm
over
overhead.
Kamala
Let me
So
switch this
He
to
does not have
red.
any
That'll show up
obvious
better, I
designs on the
think.
presidency if Kamala Harris wins
Yeah,
and
there
serves
we
out
go.
2 terms. He's there
let's see it.
to enhance the ticket as it
Red,
exists and
white,
amplify things on the positive side
Wow.
where and when he can. Very different calculations.
Perfect,
very different
chat.
risk
I
factors.
just got
Not the
red, blue.
brightest, to be
And
fair,
Bob,
but
even if you're Bob Dole, who had a bad night in
brighten them up a bit.
1976, he was the nominee
Is
for
the
the
Bay
80th
night, ladies and
Republican
gents.
Party.
We got
So
two
even if you
minutes.
rescue yourself from
2.5
a bad
minutes.
night,
We're so
what are your
close.
final thoughts on tonight?
Everybody in the press, when we're in the press galleries on the campaign planes, they talk about these
Breast
vice
gallery?
presidential
What the hell are
debates
they
as
talking
low
about?
Impact, but they really are high stakes. Everybody
I have
watching
no clue,
tonight
Geek,
knows
to be
one
fair.
of these two men could become
Can
president
I
of
have
the
a
United States.
curved
The country is
camera
going to
as
take a
well?
temperature on character, on policy.
Perhaps.
Who are these people who might lead the country? And one of them might be leading the country should a crisis happen, a heartbeat away from the
There we
presidency.
go,
We live in a
chat.
time of assassination attempts.
Am I curved? Am I curvy with it?
Are you curvy with it? It's such
I
a
want to have a
So it's
curvy
no
camera too.
question that one day one of these people
there
could
you
be
go, chat. Look
president.
at that.
We
Oh, I
hope
probably should turn
all
off my
people live
overhead
healthy
light.
lives and serve full
It's
terms.
pink. Nah, I
but
like
you
the
never
pink.
know in
Fuck it.
American
I'm
history.
keeping that on.
That's what the history always tells us.
Nancy, the other big event is the
I'm gonna grab some water real quick.
incredible floods
Well,
in
actually,
for it.
North
That's
Carolina,
right.
which also
Well,
is
go
causing
quick. We got
Alright.
2 minutes.
It is
Oh, I got 2 minutes. Oh,
because
shit.
handling of natural disasters is often a
All right. In the
privacy
meantime, I
matters,
actually think
a
it's a little
complex.
harsh, the
They
blue
look at
one.
how
There we
you
go.
handle
That's a
something
little
like
better.
that,
Let's
and
put
they
on
say this person is
50%.
capable of handling big, important things.
Biddy.
And that's why President Biden tomorrow is heading to North Carolina and South Carolina, and Florida and Georgia.
I
the
just
next.
draw my phone. Who needs
We
it?
see the vice presidential candidates there. Tim Walz standing.
Tim is. Look at him. Look how cute he is.
Ed,
He's just like, hey
give us your last
guys.
thoughts as we watch
Hi.
Here as, JD Vance is off in
That's
the wings for the
cute.
moment. Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is, Mr. Vance.
Performance. That seems obvious, but no faux pause. And they're looking for a viral moment. That's what they'll be looking for tonight.
With them fuckers.
No handshake, and there you have Governor Walz.
I make it a
We'll be
little.
taking
Let me
some
make my shit a little
notes.
warmer.
JD Vance doing the same as our colleagues.
And then you're shaking hands before,
Yeah.
before the cameras came.
That's right.
That's
Well,
all right.
We have the vice presidential debate coming up in a moment. It will be moderated by our own Nora O'Donnell.
That's all right. That's
Mark
good.
Brennan. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance.
45
and Senator
seconds,
Tim
debate's
Walz
starting.
Take the stage. Well, they've taken the stage, so
Yeah.
be with us here and join us also on our streaming channel, CBS News 24/7,
What's that?
for exclusive content you won't see anywhere else.
You're in.
Thank
You can't
for
hear
joining
it.
us.
Okay. When Ava comes back, I can ask if they can put the titles.
Okay.
This Facebook Marketplace. Oh yeah, for that. Sure.
Because, like, honestly, my
Beautiful. I just realized that I.
No. All right.
Oh, I just realized
3
that
seconds.
3 seconds.
All right. Are you in or out?
Tonight, with just
You're
over
in?
a
Get
month
in
to go
then.
until Election Day,
Commit
the first
if you're
and
gonna
only
commit.
meeting between the two men
All right, my
We have another
roommate's
person?
gonna hop in. Yeah.
Does he know we're live?
Yeah, I know.
Republican Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio.
Now this is
That's
likely
fine.
the final debate
He doesn't have
of
to
this
know.
election cycle, and voting is already underway in 20 states.
Go, chat.
CBS News polling shows this remains a race either presidential candidate.
That's
could
so
win.
crazy that it's
The
still
CBS
so
News
close
vice
after like all of the
presidential
shit
starts
that has
now.
gone on.
Yeah. That's
It's like, yeah, they
weird.
just openly lied about like Haitian migrants eating cats and committing committing trans surgeries on illegal immigrants. Like, what?
You got identical twins.
Yeah. All right. Do you want an ear?
You did again let them know that we're live, right?
We are live on Twitch as well,
And YouTube and TikTok.
and YouTube and TikTok. Other ear. Look how I have it as this one. Oops, over the ear. That's
Good evening,
IEMs.
I'm Nora O'Donnell, and thank you for joining us for tonight's CBS News Vice
I don't think
Presidential
IEMs are
Debate.
American,
We
are
wanna
they?
welcome our viewers on CBS,
I think this one's
on
like
other
from
networks here in
like
the US and around the world.
fucking not
We have a
Singapore. What am I
consequential
thinking
night
of?
ahead, and
Yeah,
our
Maybe it is
issues
Singapore actually.
that
A
matter
lot of
to
shit's
you,
also
the
not
voter.
from America.
Let's introduce the
That's
candidates.
true.
Minnesota's
Most
Democratic
things.
Governor
Most things.
Tim
You're
Walz,
not.
Oh my gosh,
and
TikTok's
Ohio
gonna be
I'm
an
not
interesting thing to have to
J.D.
moderate
Vance
tonight.
meeting
Oh my
for the first time.
gosh. They're like the same person, like with different
Yeah,
skins.
it's just a mirrored haircut.
How the fuck do
Oh,
I
Ava, could you reset
ban
the Discord
TikTok?
stream real
These are
quick?
the rules that both campaigns
They're
have
different
agreed.
versions of the same
Questions will be
Fortnite skin.
directed at one candidate who will have 2 minutes to respond. The other candidate will be allowed 2 minutes.
Like they got
for
the
rebuttal.
same fucking
Then each
haircut.
candidate
They
will
Are there
got
get another
subtitles?
minute to make
Are there live
further points,
subtitles?
with an additional 1
yeah.
minute
Oh,
each
closed
at the
captioning.
discretion of the moderator. The primary
Oh, but it's like
role of the
actual
moderators
cable
is
closed
to
captioning, so it
facilitate the
sucks.
debate between the candidates, enforce the rules, and provide the candidates with the opportunity to fact-check claims made by each other.
CBS
Yeah, I'm just
News
gonna turn
reserves
those off.
the
They take
right
up
to
so
mute the
much on the
candidates'
screen too,
microphones
Geek.
to
Yeah,
maintain
yeah.
decorum.
Hi,
We have
Twitch,
not
by the
shared
way.
the
I'm
questions
Nick.
or topics with
Hi,
the campaigns.
Nick. I'm trying to figure out how to
The
ban
stage
people on
is set.
TikTok real
Governor,
quick.
Senator,
On you,
thank
TikTok.
you for joining us. Let's get
You
started.
TikTok?
Tonight, our country is facing several unfolding crises. The Middle East is on the brink of war. Americans are suffering from the
Live
catastrophic
tap
impact
settings.
of Hurricane Helene.
So let me see.
And now a labor strike as
TikTok.
25,000 dock
Live
workers
settings,
from Maine
okay.
to Texas are picketing. We're going to begin tonight with the Middle East. Margaret.
Thank you,
We're
Nora.
starting with the Middle East.
Today, Iran launched its largest attack
Damn.
yet on Israel, but that
Do we already
attack
have a bingo?
failed, thanks to joint U.S. and Israeli
Hopefully
defensive
not.
action.
I'm still trying to figure out this
President
out.
Biden has deployed more than 40,000 U.S. military
So
personnel
we have a
and
bingo
assets
board. So
to that
every
region
5
over
of
the
these that
past
get filled
year
in,
to
I'm gonna
try to
take
prevent
another
a regional war.
5 million.
Iran is weakened,
Bro, you're about to
but the
die.
U.S. still considers it the
35
largest
max
Trust me,
is what it is.
I die every time I play this.
drastically reduced
Yeah, it was
the time
drinking.
it would take to develop a
Every
nuclear
time.
weapon. It
I
is
mean,
down now
honestly, wait.
to
Let me
1
get a
in
beer.
Do you want to
13
get a
weeks
beer?
of
Oh, hell yeah.
Governor Walz, if you were the final voice
Alrighty.
in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you, and thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep
That's
in mind
us.
where this started.
We're joining at
7
home.
Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental.
Oh, wait, I
and
missed so many
ending
already,
the
didn't I?
Humanitarian crisis in
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about just Israel-Palestine right now.
the
We'll
expansion
see
of
how.
Israel and its proxies is an absolute
turn this up
fundamental
just a bit, too. Give me
necessity
1
for the
second.
United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it
Huh?
experienced today, where along with our
Why is he talking about
Israeli
the
partners,
expansion of
our
Israel?
coalition able to stop the
They're
incoming,
fucking invading
Bombing
Lebanon.
like right now.
that steady
Not
leadership
bombing.
is
They have
gonna matter.
ground
It's
invasions.
clear, and
Oh,
the
but they did
world
bomb
saw
them
it on that
already.
debate stage
They already
a
technically,
few
yes.
weeks ago, a nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump talking about crowd sizes is not what we need in this moment.
Yeah,
it's
but we
not
also don't
just
need
that.
more money
It's
to
those that were
Israel.
closest
We
to Donald
don't.
Trump
Surely
that
we don't.
understand how dangerous he is when the world is this dangerous. His chief of staff, John Kelly, said that he was the most flawed human being he'd ever met. And both of
All right,
his
one beer.
secretaries of defense
Is that the good shit or is
and
that?
It's the
his
good
national
shit.
security
I'm
advisors
busting
said
out
he should be
the
nowhere
vodka
near
and
the White House.
Damn.
Now, the person
nice,
closest
nice.
Think
to
of
them,
my homeland.
to the
Let's
Donald
see.
Trump, said he's unfit for the highest
I don't think I
office.
actually
lagging.
put. Did I put
What
Hamas on
we've
here?
seen out of Vice President Harris, is we've seen
I
steady
like that
leadership.
both of them kind
We've
of
seen
look
a
like they're
calmness
wearing
that is able
someone
to be able
else's
to draw on the
skin.
coalitions to bring them together. Understanding
Why are my
that our
lines so
allies
bad?
matter. When our allies see
Our allies
Donald
are
Trump
doing acts of terror.
turn towards Vladimir Putin, turn towards North Korea.
Yeah,
When we start to
you
see
know,
that
our
type of
allies
fickleness
that
around holding the
blatantly
coalitions together,
violate
we
every
will stay committed. And as the
Our
Vice
allies
President
that
said,
now
it
even the
is
Pope has
international
fucking
law, our force and our allied
like,
forces, and there will be
disproven.
consequences.
Or said like no to.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, the same question.
God.
Would you support
trying
or
to
He's not
oppose
going to give a better
preemptive
answer.
strike
No, he's
by
not.
Israel on Iran?
It's
You
going to be
have 2
worse
minutes.
somehow.
So, Margaret, I want to answer the question.
Yes,
First of all, thanks, Governor.
he
Thanks
does.
to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks, most importantly, to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about
Shut
this
the
country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate. I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are.
Oh, boy.
I was raised in a
Hacker.
working-class family. My mother required food assistance for periods of her life. My grandmother required Social Security help to raise me, and she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill.
Wasn't this
after
a
I
question
enlisted in the
about
Marine Corps
Israel?
and served in Iraq. And so I stand here asking to be your vice president
military
with
service.
extraordinary gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams. And most importantly,
American
I know that a
dream
lot
that
of you are worried
allowed
about
you
the
to
chaos of
publish
the
the
world and the
worst
feeling
book
that the
ever
American
written.
dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince
What
you
book?
tonight over the next
I don't
90
know what
minutes
book
that
you're
Hillbilly
if we
Elegy.
get better leadership
It's like
in the White
basically
House,
just
if we
him
get
being
Donald
really
Trump back in the White
condescending
House,
to
the
like
American dream is going
poor
to be attainable
people
once again.
Yeah.
Now, to answer this
for
particular
50
question, we
minutes
have to
and trying
remember
to play
that
to
as
like
much as Governor Walz just
really
accused Donald Trump of being an
establishment
agent of
peace
chaos,
lips, and
Donald
then
Trump
he
actually
basically
delivered
just let
stability in the
Trump
world, and
away.
he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out of line. Iran, which launched this attack, has received over
People were
$100
afraid
billion
of stepping out of line.
in unfrozen
Also, can you
assets
try to move the
thanks to
mic,
the
like,
Kamala
more to the
Harris
middle?
administration. What do they use that money for? They use it to
But,
buy
I
weapons that
mean,
they're now launching
my
against our allies.
camera is
and God forbid,
at an
potentially
angle to
launching
begin
against
with.
I'm saying, like, the
United
mic
States
so
as
we can,
well.
like,
Right,
take
so
Donald
I
Trump
would need to be, like,
recognized that
Yeah.
for
here.
people
Yeah.
to fear the
There you
United
go.
And then, like,
States, you
Not even
now
like,
my
not even like, you
delay.
guys don't have to
They
be
needed
middle,
to
but I'm saying, like, it
recognize
was hard to
that
hear
if
him with
they
the
got
mic.
out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in
Oh,
the
we would
world.
put stability
Now, you
and
asked about a
peace.
preemptive
What?
strike, Margaret, and I want to answer the question. Look, it is up to Israel.
Underlay.
what they
I want to
think they
answer
need
the
to do to
question,
keep
even
their
though I
country
just
safe, and we
filibustered
should
for
I want to
so
answer the
long.
question.
wherever they
And my
are, they're
answer
fighting the bad
is
guys.
yes.
I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
Thank you, Senator.
It
Governor
is an Israel
Walz,
question.
do you care to
It's an Israel
respond to any of
question.
the allegations?
Well, look,
yes.
Trump was in office. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a coalition of nations.
It was
that
Donald
had
Trump who
boxed
was in office.
Iran's nuclear program in, the inability to advance it. Donald Trump pulled that program and put nothing else in its place. So Iran's
Iran's not the
nuclear weapon than
issue!
they were before because of Donald Trump's fickle leadership. And when Iran shot down an American aircraft in international airspace, Donald
this is gonna
Trump
be a fun
tweeted
one.
because that's the standard
God.
diplomacy of Donald Trump.
Iran
and
is
when
not
Iranian
the issue
missiles
here.
did fall
Iran.
near U.S.
This
troops
is probably better.
and they received
Yeah.
traumatic brain injuries, Donald Trump wrote it off as headaches. Look, our allies understand that Donald Trump is fickle. He will go to whoever has the most flattery or where it makes sense to him.
Wait, I
Steady
gotta see the
leadership like you
bingo
witnessed
card
today,
here.
like you witnessed in
Oh,
April.
yeah.
Both
David,
Iranian
did you,
attacks
can you
were
like,
repelled.
send a screenshot of it
Coalition
in our
is strong,
Discord?
and we need the
Of what?
steady
DM?
leadership that Kamala Harris is
The
providing.
bingo.
Oh, I sent you the
Senator
link for it.
Vance, the U.S. did have a diplomatic deal with Iran to temporarily pause parts
Oh, you
of
already-
its
you sent
nuclear
the document.
program.
You're right.
And President
You're
Trump
No, you're
did
fine.
exit that deal. He recently said, just 5 days ago, the
that's
U.S. must now
pretty
make a diplomatic deal with Iran because the consequences are impossible.
What the fuck?
Did he make a mistake? You have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, Margaret, diplomacy is not a dirty word, but I think that something Governor Walz just said is quite extraordinary. You yourself just said Iran is as close to a nuclear weapon today as they have ever been. And Governor Walz, you blame Donald Trump. Who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years? And the answer is your running mate, not mine.
What?
Donald Trump consistently made the world more secure. Now, we talk about what the sequence of events
The fuck
that led
is
us to where we
this?
are right now, and you can't
Gonna be a
ignore
fun-
October the 7th, which I
debate.
appreciate
let him
Governor
go.
Walz bringing
Oh,
up.
there it
When
is.
did Iran
I'm so
and Hamas and
so
their
happy to put
proxies
Hamas
Maybe-
on
attack
here.
maybe
Israel?
by the end of
It
it, we're
was
switching
during
all the
the
lights to red.
administration of Kamala Harris.
I was
So
like,
You know?
Governor Walz
God,
can
no,
criticize Donald
no.
Trump's tweets, But effective, smart diplomacy and peace through strength is how you bring stability back to a very broken world. Donald Trump has already done it once before. Ask yourself at home. When was the last time? I'm 40 years old. When was the last time that an American president didn't have a major conflict?
Can I get a fact check on that?
The only answer is during the 4 years that Donald Trump was president.
I don't think you need to fact check anything.
Margaret, thank you.
No, I want to know how old
Let's turn
JD
now to
Vance
Hurricane
is.
Helene. The storm
I think
could
it's
become
like
one of the deadliest on record.
He's exactly 40. What the
He said
fuck?
40.
Dead,
Exactly
and hundreds
40?
more
Yeah, that's
are
crazy.
missing.
Up,
There's no
hurricane.
Scientists say climate change makes these hurricanes
You got another one.
larger,
Climate change.
stronger,
Do I have climate change on
and
the board? I
more
don't think I
deadly
do.
because of the
I'm
historic
drinking.
rainfall.
No, I mean, they didn't
Senator
talk
Vance,
about it last
according
time.
to CBS
No.
News polling,
So.
7 in 10 Americans and more than 60% of Republicans under the age of 45 favor the U.S. taking steps to try and reduce climate change.
Wow, it's almost like
Senator,
it's a scientifically
what
proven
responsibility
thing.
would the Trump administration have to try and reduce the impact of climate change? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, it's not real.
Let's start with the hurricane because
let's
it's
start with
unbelievable,
the
unspeakable
rumor
human
that is
tragedy.
climate
I
change.
just saw today actually a photograph of 2 grandparents on a roof with a 6-year-old child, and it was the last photograph ever taken of them because the roof collapsed and those innocent people lost their lives. And I'm sure Governor Walz joins me in saying our hearts go out to those innocent people, our prayers go out to them,
the hurricane.
and we want as
They were talking about the hurricane.
Oh, the
aggressive
hurricane,
as
yeah.
a federal response as we
He
can
was just
get
looking
to
at
save
those
as many
images
lives as
this morning.
possible.
Yeah, do you know
and of
who
course,
didn't
afterwards,
actually
to
give
help the
aid
people in those
during the
communities
previous
rebuild. I mean, these are
hurricanes?
communities that I
Trump
love.
didn't.
Some of them I know very
You
personally.
know what Biden's
in
done? Actually given
Appalachia,
aid.
all across the Southeast.
Wow.
They need their government to do their job, and I commit that when Donald Trump is president again, the government will put the citizens of this country first when they suffer from
didn't,
disaster.
though.
Like he did already.
I think it's
Like
this
he's
is a
done.
very important
You're
issue.
so
Look,
real. No,
a
he's
lot
real
of
for that.
people are
You know, like,
justifiably worried about all these crazy
beyond
weather patterns. I think it's important.
We
for us,
did
first
have a
of all, to
crowd
say,
size mention.
Donald Trump and I
Yeah.
support
Oh, did we?
clean air, clean water.
By who?
Yeah.
We want the environment to be cleaner and safer.
Uh,
But one of the
by
things that
Walz.
I've noticed some of our
By
Democratic
Walz,
friends talking a lot about
That was
is
how
a
he
concern
started
about
his
carbon
Israel-Palestine
emissions, this idea
argument.
That carbon emissions drives all of the climate change. Well,
I
let's just
really
say
like
that's
how
true.
JD
Just for the sake
Vance
of argument,
brought
so we're not
back
arguing about
highlights.
weird
Here's the big
science. Let's just say
award.
that's true.
Here's the big
Well,
award.
if you believe
That used
that,
to be
what would
like
you, what
gay
would you
guys
want?
Live it up on the
and,
street.
like,
The answer is that you'd want to
Midwest
reshore
males.
as much American
Made
manufacturing
it
as
doable
possible.
again.
I
And
will
you want to
say,
reduce as
his
much energy
eyes
as
are
possible
dreaming.
in the United
Yeah.
States of
Yeah.
America. Because
Don't
we're the
say
cleanest
that.
economy in
No.
the entire
Is he
world.
wearing,
What
is
if
he wearing
Kamala Harris's
fucking
policies
contacts?
Nah,
actually
that's
led
his
to
natty shit.
more energy production in
natty.
China,
Yeah.
more manufacturing
naturally
overseas,
A10.
more doing business in some of the
And
dirtiest parts of the entire world. And when I say that, I mean the amount of carbon emissions they're doing per unit of economic output. So if we actually
We're doing
care
a
about
shit
getting
ton of
cleaner air and cleaner water, the best thing to
We
do
need
is
to
to double down and invest in
reduce
American
the global
workers and the
population.
American
See,
people.
here
And
he is.
He's
unfortunately, Kamala
saying
Harris is
what we
doing
have to do
exactly
is
the
invest in
opposite.
American
First name,
production,
same
where
name.
we're
Walz,
burning
you have 2
more
minutes to
oil
respond.
and coal.
We got close
brother.
to an agreement because all those things are happening. Look, first of all,
I just
it
showed
is a
Nick the tweet
horrific
that you
tragedy,
posted before.
with this
Terrifying.
hurricane, and my heart goes out to the folks that are down there in contact with the governors. I serve as
Update.
co-chair of the Council of
Oh,
Governors
that's
as we
not
work
good.
together on these emergency managements. Governors know no partisanship. They work together to all of the governors and the emergency responders are on the ground. Those happen on the front end.
Oh,
The federal government
no.
comes in, makes sure they're there to that we recover, but we're still in that phase where we need to
I
make
feel
sure
like
that
they're
they're
gonna
staying
fill
there,
out,
staying
like,
focused.
every
Now
fucking-
look, coming
That's-
back to the
that's
climate
the
change
idea.
issue, there's no doubt this thing roared onto the scene faster and stronger than anything
Turn you
we've
down
seen.
just a little.
Senator Vance has said that there's a climate problem in the past. Donald Trump called it a hoax and then joked that these things would make more beachfront property to be able to invest in. What we've seen out of the Harris administration now, the Biden-Harris administration, is we've seen this investment. We've seen massive investments, the
Is that
biggest
Joe
in
Biden mentioned? I don't.
global history.
That's not what I
we've seen
intended it
in
for,
the
but I
Inflation
think it
Reduction
is,
Act
to
has
be
created
fair.
jobs all across the country. 2,000 in Jeffersonville, Ohio, taking the EV technology that we invented and making it here. 200,000 jobs across the country.
made you too
The
quiet.
largest solar manufacturing plant in North America sits in Minnesota. But my farmers know climate change is real.
You know what? You should
They've seen
have
500-year
fucking
droughts,
nuclear energy. Look at
500-year
Illinois,
floods back
or is it
to back.
Indiana? One of the
But
two.
what they're doing is adapting, and this has
There's a
allowed
state
them
that
to
literally
tell
has
me,
half of its
"Look, I
energy
harvest
produced by
corn, I
nuclear
harvest
power
soybean, I
with
harvest
only
wind."
6
Yeah.
nuclear
We're
power
producing
plants.
more natural gas and more oil at any time
Crazy.
than we ever have. We're also producing
Yeah.
more clean energy.
No, we're not.
The solution for us
No.
is to continue to move forward. That
More
climate
in
change is
comparison
real.
to, like,
Reducing
before?
our impact is
Sure.
absolutely
Yeah, but like
critical.
to comparison
this
to
is not
European
a false
countries,
choice.
no shot.
You can do that at the same time you're creating the jobs that we're seeing all across the country.
In comparison
That's
to
exactly
Canada?
what this
No.
administration has done. We are seeing us becoming an energy superpower for the future, not
No,
just
we're not.
the current. And
We're
that's
seeing
what
us burning
absolutely
more
makes
oil,
sense. And then
burning
we
more
start thinking
fucking
about
fossil fuels,
how do we
and
mitigate these
pushing more
disasters.
money into that
Thank
industry.
you. Senator, I
to
want to
dig
give you
baby
an
drill,
opportunity
or
to
Joe Baby
respond there.
Drill
The
was
governor
Trump's exact
mentioned
response, I
that
think.
President Trump has called climate change a hoax. Do you agree?
Well, look, what the president has said is that if the Democrats, in particular Kamala Harris and her leadership, if they really believe that climate change is serious, what they would be doing is more manufacturing and more energy production in the United States of America, and that's not what they're doing. So clearly, Kamala Harris herself doesn't believe her own rhetoric on this. If she did, she would actually agree with Donald Trump's
Trump's gonna come out here like, I didn't say anything to him.
He's
wrong. I do believe climate change
when
is
we
a
talk
hoax.
about clean energy, I think that's a slogan that often the Democrats will use here. And I'm talking, of course, about the Democratic leadership. And the real issue is that if you're spending hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of American taxpayer money on solar panels that are made in China, number one, you're going to make the economy dirtier. We should be making more solar panels here in the United States of America. Some of them are, Tim, but a lot of them are being made overseas in China, especially the components that go into those solar panels. So if you really want to make the environment cleaner,
I would rather
you've
our
got
money
to
go
invest
there
in more
than
energy production.
exclusively
We
to
haven't built a
Israel.
nuclear
Yeah,
facility,
or
I
to,
think,
like,
one
fucking
in the
military
past
industrial
40 years.
complex.
Natural gas,
Yeah.
we got to
Hundreds of
invest more in
billions
it.
of
Kamala
dollars
Harris has
to
done the
kill
opposite.
Is he saying
That's
we-
raised energy
10,000
prices
Wait,
and also meant
he's saying we
that
have to
we're doing
invest
more
more in
than
natural gas. What?
Governor, would you like to respond?
Well, look, we're producing more natural gas than we ever
Yeah,
have. There's no
natural
moratorium on
gas,
that. We're producing
sure.
more oil.
Why?
No, and my,
Yes and no.
like I
But
said,
it's
again,
natural
these
gas
are
is
not
bad.
liberal
Natural
folks.
gas
These are
is
not
fossil
folks that are
fuels.
Green New Deal folks.
Yeah,
These are
exactly.
farmers
But
gas
it's natural.
who have been
turbines.
drought
No.
It's good
one
for
year,
nature.
But like
massive
as
flooding
an
the next
engineer
year.
who's worked
They understand
with
that it
like
makes
gas
sense.
turbines,
Look, our
there's
number
no
one
real
export
full green
cannot be
solution just
topsoil from
yet.
erosion.
There
from
is.
these
It's called
immediate
fucking
storms. We
nuclear
saw it in
energy.
Minnesota this summer.
Nuclear isn't green,
And
to be fair, but
thinking
yes,
about how
nuclear
do we
is one of
respond
our
to that,
best options.
We're thinking
No,
ahead
nuclear
of this,
is
and what Kamala Harris
renewable,
has
especially
been
the
able to
types
do
they've
in
developed
Minnesota.
today. It's
We're starting to
renewable. It's
weather
no
some of these
byproducts
things.
that
The
are actually
infrastructure
detrimental
law
to
that
the
was passed
environment.
allows us to think
It's-
about
Yes,
but, like,
mitigation in the
using gas
future.
turbines
How do we
is,
make
like,
sure that we're protecting by
middle-
burying
like,
our power
the
lines?
middle
How do we make
ground
sure that we're
between,
protecting lakefronts
the
and
bad
things that we're
shit
seeing more and
and
more
the
of? But to
fully
call it a
green. Like,
hoax
we need that
and to
transition
take
period.
the
We
oil
cannot
company
go full
executives
green
to
right
Mar-a-Lago
now.
I mean, yeah,
say,
nuclear
give me
energy is
money
the
for
best.
my
Exactly. Like,
campaign,
look, nuclear
and I'll let you do
energy.
whatever you want.
Again, there's
We
a
can be
state.
smarter about that.
I don't
and
know
an
what he
all-above
meant by
energy
that.
policy is exactly
And
what
I
she's
don't
doing,
think it's what I
creating
said.
those jobs right here.
Yeah, because he was saying
Governor,
we're
your
not
time
putting
is
enough
up.
money into
The
natural
overwhelming
gas, which is
consensus among
stupid.
scientists is
We
that
have
the Earth's
enough money
climate
there.
is warming at an
Don't get us
unprecedented
wrong.
rate.
We have enough
Margaret?
money there.
Thank you, Nora. We're going to turn now to immigration.
Oh.
The crisis at the U.S.-Mexico
go.
border consistently ranks as one of the
Oh,
top
no.
issues for American voters.
Let's see. We
Senator
got
Vance,
immigration, borders
your
are eating the
campaign
pets.
is pledging to carry out the largest
ready to eat
mass
the cats. I'm ready to eat
deportation
the
plan
dogs.
in American history and to use the
Oh,
U.S.
gosh, this is gonna be
military
bad,
to
chat.
do so. Could you be more specific about exactly how this will work? For example, would you deport parents who have entered the U.S. illegally and separate them from any of their children who were born on U.S. soil?
The Haitian
You have 2
migrants
minutes.
who are here
So first of all,
legally.
Margaret, before we talk about deportations, we have to stop the bleeding.
Right.
We have a historic immigration crisis because Kamala Harris
Right.
started and said
Chat,
that she wanted
that's on
to
the board for
undo all of
immigrants.
Donald Trump's border policies. 94 executive
Oh.
orders suspending
Five.
deportations.
Nope, there's also the borders
decriminalizing
are.
illegal aliens,
Oh,
massively
fuck.
increasing
Take
the
two.
asylum fraud that exists in our
Taking
system.
two?
That has
It's only
opened
five.
the
I'm only
floodgates.
taking
And what
half
it's
of it.
meant
Empty
is that
the
a lot of
bag.
fentanyl is coming into
Just
our
A lot of
country.
fentanyl,
I have a
okay.
mother
Wait, do
who's
I have
struggled
fentanyl in
with
here?
opioid addiction
No, I
and has
don't.
gotten clean. I
Oh,
don't
you should've
want
put
people who
fentanyl
are
in
struggling
there.
with
Yeah, I
addiction
did.
to be
Fentanyl
deprived of their
one
second chance because Kamala Harris let in fentanyl into our communities at record levels. So you've got to
You know-
stop the bleeding.
You wanna know
You've got to
something
really
reimplement
fun,
Donald Trump's
geek?
border policies.
Do you wanna know who
build
brings
the
in the
wall,
most fentanyl?
re-implement
It's not migrants.
deportations, and that
It's
gets me to your point, Margaret, about what do we
fucking born
actually
citizens.
do? So we've got 20, 25 million illegal
Wow,
aliens
who
who are
would've
here in the
thought?
country. What do we
It's
do
for
with
the
them? I think the
cartel,
first
but
thing that
it's
we
not
do is
for
we
the
start
border.
with the
Like,
criminal
it's
migrants.
flown.
About 1 million
It's
of
also
those
just like
people
most of the
have
not
committed
cartel.
some
It's a lot
form
of the time
crime
just
in addition to
American
crossing the border
citizens bringing that
illegally.
shit into.
I think you
It's
start
fucking
with
stupid. Yeah,
born and
deportations
raised, baby.
on those folks. And then I think you make it harder
Represent.
for illegal aliens to undercut the
get those
wages
numbers
of
up.
American workers.
Undercut the
A lot
wages.
of people will go home if
They're
they
getting
can't work
paid
for
shit.
less
You
than
know what you
minimum
do
wage in
to
our own
stop
country.
them from undercutting
And by
the
way,
wages?
that'll be really
document
for our
them.
workers who just want to
Allow
earn
them to unionize.
a fair wage for doing a
The
good
problem
day's work.
is solved by
The
just
final point,
documenting
Margaret, is
the
you
Yeah.
have family separation.
The only reason they're
right now,
undocumented
Margaret,
is 'cause they
we have
don't fucking-
320,000 children that the Department of Homeland
why the
Security
fuck
has
is it
effectively
always-
That's a
lost.
lie.
Some of
That's a
them have been
lie.
sex
It is not
trafficked. Some of them
320,000.
hopefully are at homes
That
with
is
their
completely
families. Some of them
incorrect.
have been used as drug trafficking mules. The real
That
family
is-
separation
there is
policy in this
statistics to
country
show that is incorrect.
unfortunately Kamala Harris's wide open southern border. And I'd ask my fellow Americans to remember, when she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what, I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies. I wish that she would do that. It would be good for all of us.
No one's saying that.
No, it would be bad for all.
Governor,
Nobody wants that.
do you care to respond to any of those specific allegations, including that the vice president is, quote, letting in fentanyl and using kids as drug mules, among other things regarding children?
Kamala's using the kids as drug mules.
Because this is a crisis of this, the opioid crisis. And the good news on this is the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history. 30% decrease in Ohio, but there's still more work to do.
Oh gosh, not
Let's
Ohio.
go back to this on immigration. Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of the largest state and a border state in California. She's the only person in this race who prosecuted transnational gangs
Immigrants,
for
Chad.
human trafficking and drug interventions. But look, we all want to solve this. Most of us want to solve this, and that is the United States Congress. That's the Border Patrol agents. That's the Chamber of Commerce. That's most Americans.
Border bill mentioned?
That's why we had the fairest and the toughest bill on immigration.
They
that
love
nation's
this
seen.
border bill.
It
So,
was
they have such a
crafted by
hard-on for this border
conservative
bill.
Senator from Oklahoma, James Langford. I
the
know
thing
he's
is,
super
they're
conservative, but he's a man of
arguing the
principle. Wants to
same
get it done.
They're both saying like, yeah, look,
Democrats want
illegal
this piece of
aliens are a
legislation. The
bad
Border
thing. It's like, no,
Patrol
they're
said,
not.
This is what
They
we need
help
in
our
here. These are
economy
the
so
experts.
much.
And
What do you
the Chamber
mean?
of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal said, pass this thing. Kamala Harris helped get there.
You know what doesn't help
1,500
though?
new border
Fucking
agents.
flying those
Detection
illegal
for
aliens
drugs.
from like
DOJ money
Texas to
speed
just
up
the middle of an
these,
area without telling them
adjudications
where the
on this,
fuck
just what
they're
America
going.
wants. But as soon as
Because
that was
Greg
getting
Abbott
ready
did
to
that
pass
shit.
and actually tackle this, Donald Trump said no. Told them to vote
Remember that
against
whole
it
thing, Geek, where they're
because it
basically,
gives
like,
him a campaign issue.
shuttling them
It gives him
from,
what would
what was
Donald
it,
Trump
Texas
talk about
to-
if we actually did some of these things?
Oh, shit,
and
where's
they
the
need
gardens?
to be done by the legislature. You can't just do this through the executive branch.
All I know is that
so look, we have the
Haitian
options to do
people
this.
in
Donald
Ohio
Trump had
were
4 years.
invited
He had 4
Yeah.
years
by
to do
the
this.
mayor.
And
I
he
know.
promised you,
And
America,
like, yeah, the
how
economy's
easy it
gotten
would
so
be.
much better
I'll
because of
build you
this,
a
like-
big, beautiful wall, and Mexico will pay for it. Less than 2% of that wall
wall.
got built, and Mexico didn't pay a dime. But here we are again, 9 years after he came down that escalator, dehumanizing
Brian's gonna do it. Brian's
people
gonna make
and
Mexico
telling them what he
pay.
was going to do. As far as the deportation plan, at one point, Senator Vance said it was so unworkable to be laughable. So that's where we're at. Pass the bill, she'll sign it.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, the question was, will you separate parents from their children, even if their kids are U.S. citizens?
I love how he just didn't
One
answer the question
Margaret,
either.
My point is that we already have massive child separations
point
thanks
is,
to Kamala
I'm
Harris's
ignoring
open
your
border.
question.
And I didn't accuse Kamala Harris of inviting drug mules. I said that she enabled
but
the
who's-
Mexican
who's
drug
doing it?
cartels
Who's doing it?
to
Yeah.
operate freely in this
Who's doing
country.
it?
And we know that they use children as drug mules, and it is
What?
a disgrace, and
The
it has
children
to
and
stop.
parents just
Look, I think what
separate,
Tim
you know,
said
it
just
Look,
doesn't
we're gonna
pass
separate
the
the
smell
children
test.
and use
For
them as drug
3
mules.
years,
Have you
Kamala
talked about
Harris went
have they
out
talked about
bragging
inflation or
that
our
she was gonna
sovereign
undo
debt crisis?
Donald
Not
Trump's
yet.
border
No,
policy.
they started
She
with
did exactly that.
Israel.
We had a record
somehow
number
got
of
to
illegal
trashing
crossings. We had a
Iran,
record
and
number
then
of fentanyl
now
coming
here.
into our country. And now that she's running for president, or a few
This is
months
a game
before,
of how
she
much
says that
can
somehow
these
she
two
got
men
religion and
agree
cared a
with
lot
each
about
other?
a piece of
low, so you
legislation.
go lower.
The only thing that she did
She said
when
she
she
got
became the vice
religion?
president,
What?
when she became the appointed border czar, was
Up.
to undo
What the
94
border
Donald
czar? I'm
Trump
drinking
executive
Fly
actions
Border
that
czar.
opened the border. This
Hey, but you
problem
are
is
drinking every
leading to
time they
massive
mention one of
problems
the
in the
things,
United
yeah.
States of America. Parents who can't
Oh, shit,
afford
I gotta
health
get
care,
on your
schools
level,
that are
dude.
overwhelmed. It's got to stop, and it will when Donald Trump is president
Senator,
again.
Of course,
your
Darko.
time is up. Governor, what about our CBS News polling, which does show that a majority of Americans, more than 50%, support mass deportations?
Look,
That's
we fixed this
crazy.
issue
What?
with a bill
What?
that is necessary, but the issue on this is what happens when you don't
Does
want
it
to solve
support
it. You
mass
demonize it.
deportation?
And we
Yep.
saw this, and Senator Vance, and it surprises
number?
me on this.
50% is what
Talking
they said.
about and saying, I will create stories to bring
Sounds
attention to this.
Yeah.
That vilified a large number of people
Can
who
we
were here
fact check
legally
CBS?
in the community of Springfield.
Oh,
The
wait,
Republican governor
wait.
said, It's not true.
As
Don't do it.
fatcheck.org
There's
on it.
consequences for this. There's consequences. We could come together.
There was the eating
Senator
the pets
Langford
mentioned,
did it.
Springfield,
We could
Ohio
come together and
immigrants.
solve this if we didn't let Donald Trump continue to make it an issue. And the consequences in Springfield were the governor had to send state law enforcement to escort kindergartners to school. I believe Senator Vance wants to solve this, but by standing with Donald Trump and not working together to find a solution, it becomes a talking point. And when it becomes a talking point like this, we dehumanize and villainize other human beings.
That's kind of a.
You're already doing that.
Yeah.
That's what
Senator,
you're
I'll give you
doing.
1 minute,
By
but
saying
let me
there's
just
too many people who are
ask you the
illegal.
question
You gotta
first.
kick them out.
The governor has made the point, and I think
no, he's
as a
villainizing
sitting lawmaker,
exclusively him.
you know that Congress controls the purse strings and any funding.
The purse
So you have said repeatedly that Donald Trump would, through executive action, solve this. Do you disagree that Congress controls the purse strings and we need to support many of the changes that you would actually want to implement? You have 1 minute.
Look, Margaret, first of all, the gross majority of what we need to do at the southern border is just empowering law enforcement to do their job. I've been to the southern border more than our borders are. Kamala Harris has been.
Give more money
and it's
to
actually
border.
Got to
heartbreaking
empower
because the
law
Border
enforcement
Patrol
to
agents,
abuse
they just want to be
people who they
empowered
think
to
is
do their
suspicious,
job.
you know?
Of course, additional resources
Let them just
would
kill
help.
more
But
freely.
most
Give
of
them
this
some
is
tanks
about
down
the
there.
president and the vice president empowering our law enforcement to say,
Fucking that. That's
if you
of course
try
what
to
we
come
need.
across the
It's not like
border
we pay our law
illegally,
enforcement
you've got to stay in
$1
Mexico.
billion
You've got to
fucking
go back
dollars
through
every
proper
year.
channels. Now, Governor Walz brought up the
fuck
community
women
of
empowerment.
Springfield, and he's
Oh,
very
man, we need
worried
law
about the
enforcement
things that I
empowerment.
Oh my
said
God,
in
dude, did you see
Springfield.
Walz's
Look,
face there
in
with-
Springfield, Ohio, and in communities
Look
all
at him right
across this
now.
country,
He's shocked.
you've got schools that are overwhelmed, you've got hospitals that are overwhelmed,
I think I just
you've
saw him
got
lose the
housing
remainder
that
of
is
his hair.
totally unaffordable.
Wait.
because
Wait.
we've brought in
These are
millions
good
of
points
illegal
here.
immigrants to
You know what you
compete with
do
Americans
to do that?
for scarce homes.
You
The
fund
people that I'm
education
most
systems
worried about in
better, you
Springfield,
fund the
Ohio,
fucking
are the
hospitals
American
better,
citizens
and you
who
build
have had
more
their
affordable
lives
housing.
destroyed by Kamala
You
Harris's
don't mass
open border.
deport people,
It is
'cause that's
a
not the fucking
disgrace to him.
issue.
And I actually think,
Nah,
I
that
agree
sounds
with
like a
you. I
Europe
think you
thing.
want to solve this problem, but I don't think that
sounds like
Kamala
socialism.
Harris does.
Senator, your time is up.
Yeah,
Governor, you
yeah.
have 1 minute to respond.
Survivor of a
Well,
socialist.
it is law enforcement that asked for the bill. They helped craft
Oh my
it.
gosh, they
They're
have
the
such a
ones that
fucking
supported
hard-on
it.
for this bill.
That's because they know
That's
we
just
need to
give
do
law
this.
enforcement
Look, this
more money.
issue of continuing to bring this up, of not dealing with it, of blaming migrants for everything.
I like his zesty
On
pink
housing,
tie, though.
we could talk a little bit about
It
Wall
is
Street
kinda nice.
speculators
It's not a
buying up
full
housing and
red,
making
it's
them
like
less
red and
No,
affordable.
it's
white.
But
magenta.
it becomes
It's
a
great.
blame. Look, this bill also
This is-
gives the money
this is like
necessary
Ted
to adjudicate.
in action.
I agree. It should not take 7 years for an
J.D.
asylum claim to be
Vance
done.
is-
This bill
is
gets it done in
bad.
90 days.
Yeah.
Then you start to make a difference in this.
See,
and
it's
you
like
start
almost
to
like
adhere to what
documenting
we know,
undocumented
American principles.
migrants is
I
just
don't
the
talk
solution
about
to
my
this.
faith a lot,
And making it just
but Matthew
easier to
25:40
be documented.
talks about
Wow.
to the least amongst us.
Because
you
then they
do
actually
unto
start
me.
paying.
I think
They already
that's
pay
true
taxes.
of most Americans.
But then they start actually
simply want
earning
order
better
to it.
wages,
This
can pay
bill
more into
does it.
taxes,
It's
fund our
funded.
economy
It's
better.
supported by the people
They're
who do it,
already
and it
doing the
lets us
work.
keep
They're
our
already
dignity
paying
about how we
into
treat other
taxes
people.
into these benefits and not
Thank
receiving
you,
anything
Governor.
from
And
it.
just to clarify
No,
for
that's
our
like
viewers,
anti-capitalist
Springfield,
stuff. We don't
Ohio
talk
does
about.
have a large number of Haitian migrants
Oh
who have
no.
Here we
legal
go.
status,
Oh,
temporary
Here we go.
protected
Well,
status.
but
Thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret,
Margaret, I gotta talk about this, Margaret.
Margaret, the rules were that
The
you guys weren't
economy-
going to
we're-
fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application
eating
called
the
the
dogs and eating
CBP
the
one,
cats.
where you can go on as an illegal migrant.
Margaret, they're eating the
apply for
dogs and cats,
asylum or
Margaret.
apply
That's
for
all I'm gonna
parole,
say, Margaret.
and be
Right, to eat
granted
someone's
legal
cat.
status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is
That-
not a person
I'm
coming
giving
in
that-
applying
The
for a green
Kamala
card and waiting
Harris
for 10
open
years.
I'm giving that
Thank you,
another
Senator.
thing on
Of illegal
I'm giving that another thing on
immigration,
immigrants
Margaret.
here, chat.
Thank you, Senator, for
Leadership.
describing the legal
And
process.
and
We
Kamala-
have
and
so
Kamala
much
Harris
to get
opened up
to,
that
Senator.
patchwork.
Those
We
laws
have
have
so
been in
much.
the book since
Thank you for
1990.
describing the
Thank
legal
you, gentlemen.
process. It's
The
crazy.
wanna
CBP
have-
One app has not been on the books since 1990.
Cut him off, baby.
Gentlemen,
We needed
the
that.
audience can't hear you because your
Word.
mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
Fuck him up.
Nora.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you for
The
explaining.
economy
Damn.
is a
He's
top concern
That's
for
yeah,
voters.
geek.
Each of your
100%
campaigns has
he's gonna
released
talk
an
about it as soon as the
economic
mic's
plan, so
unmuted.
let's talk about the specifics.
So
Governor
going back
Walz,
to what I was
Vice President
saying,
Harris
I
unveiled a
feel like
plan
that was
that includes includes billions in tax credits for manufacturing, housing, and a renewed child tax credit.
Okay.
The Wharton School says your proposals will increase the nation's deficit by $1.2 trillion. How would you pay for that without ballooning the
Also,
deficit?
keep red tin, by the
Governor,
way.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. And Kamala Harris and I do believe in the middle class because that's where we come from. We both grew up in that. We understand. So those of you out there
I'm waiting for the
listening tonight, you're
socialism
hearing
thing
a lot of
from
stuff back
JD
and
Vance
forth, and
chat.
it's good.
That's
It's
all I'm
healthy.
saying.
That's what this is supposed to happen. You should be listening. How's this going to impact me? The bold forward plan that Kamala Harris
I mean,
put,
to be fair,
out there
of
is
all
one
the
is
people
talking about
during
this
this
housing
race,
issue.
Walz is the
one thing
closest
is
to your
there's
average
3
American.
million new
Like,
houses
he
proposed
is
under
only,
this
I think,
plan.
at a net
with
worth of
down
$1 million,
payment assistance on the front
which
end
is
to get
shockingly
you. A
low for
house
people
is
his
much
age.
more than just an asset to be traded somewhere. It's foundational to where you're at. And then making sure that the things you buy every day, whether they be prescription drugs or other things, that there's fairness in that. Look, the $35 insulin is a good thing, but it costs $5 to make insulin.
He's
They were
cooking.
charging $800 before this law went into effect. As far as the housing goes, I've seen it in Minnesota. 12% more houses in Minneapolis. Prices went down on rent 4%. It's working. And
kinda
then making
cooking
sure
here. I'm
tax
not gonna
cuts
lie.
go to the middle class. $6,000 child tax credit. We
When
outlined
they
in
get
Minnesota.
money to buy houses, housing prices are going to increase. Oh, 100%. I don't agree with the $25 25K credit. I disagree with building more houses, stopping corporations from
tax credit for small business,
public housing.
increasing that to
stopping
$50,000.
corporations
Now,
from
this is a
actually
philosophical difference
just
between us.
drastically
Donald
increasing
Trump
rent for no
made a
reason. Stop
promise, and I'll
corporations
give you
from
this. He
buying
kept it. He
copious
took
amounts
folks
of like
from
why do
Mar-a-Lago,
corporations
said, you're rich as hell, I'm gonna give you a
why are
tax
they
cut.
able to
He
buy
gave the
15
tax
million
cuts that
houses?
predominantly went to the top
Like,
tax.
stop making
What
housing an
happened there
investment.
was
It's not an
$8
investment
trillion
thing. Make it
increase
more
in the
affordable by
tax rate, the
making
largest
more
ever.
houses, by
Now
having
he's
the government in
proposing
that.
a 20% consumption or sales tax on everything we bring in. Everyone agrees, including businesses, it would be destabilizing it, it would increase inflation and potentially lead to a recession. Look, this is simple for you. Where are we going? Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants to do, we'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share. When you do that,
billionaires?
Our system works best, more people are participating in it,
I'm
and
counting
folks
as
have the
billionaires.
things that they need.
Senator, I want to give you a moment to respond on that. But similarly, the Wharton School has done an analysis of the Trump plan and says it would increase the nation's deficit by $5.8 trillion. My question is the same for you. How do you pay for all that without ballooning the deficit?
Oh, Vance, yeah.
Well, first of all,
he's trying not to shit
a lot
himself.
from Tim Walz this evening, and you just heard it in the answer. A lot of what Kamala Harris proposes to do, and some of it, I'll be honest with you, it even sounds pretty good. Here's what you won't hear, is that Kamala Harris has already done it. Because she's been the vice president for 3.5 years.
She's
she
the
had
vice
the opportunity
president.
to enact all of these great policies. And what
No,
she's
she doesn't
done
have the power to
instead
enact those.
Is drive the cost of food higher by 25%. Drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%. Open the American southern border.
Not
and
to mention
make
the fact of like
middle-class life unaffordable.
Kamala
for a
Harris
large
isn't
number
driving
of
those prices
Americans.
higher.
Kamala Harris has such
She and
great
Biden were
plans
handed
for
the
how to
economy that
address
Trump made.
middle-class problems
It
that
doesn't.
she
You can't.
ought
Right
to
as they
do
go
them
into office,
now.
it's
Not
not
when
their
asking for
fault that the
promotion,
economy
but
is
in the
shit.
job the American people
They've
gave
got
her
that
3.5
inflation
years
rate
ago.
down
And the fact that she isn't
to the lowest
tells
it's
you a
been
lot
for
about
so
how
long.
much you can trust her actual
Fucking
plans.
crazy.
Now, Donald Trump's economic
It's almost like we
plan
had
is not
global
just a
inflation
plan,
because
but
of something known
also
as the
a record.
COVID pandemic.
A lot of those same economists attack Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense and they don't have wisdom. Because Donald Trump's economic policies to
I
deliver
do my
the
research on
highest
Facebook,
take-home pay
motherfucker.
in a generation in this country,
I love it when-
1.5% inflation, and to boot, peace and security all
yeah,
over the world. So when people
educated
say that Donald
classes, they
Trump's
just
economic
went to
plan doesn't make
universities
sense,
and learned
I
to
say
be
look
stupid.
at the
Like,
record. He delivered rising take-home
people
pay for
spend their
American workers.
entire lives
Now, Tim
studying this
admirably
one topic.
admits that they want
They have
to undo
they have
the
a
Trump tax cuts,
PhD,
if
but
you
they don't
look
have
at what
common
was so
sense when it
different
comes to the
about
economy.
Donald Trump's tax cuts, even from
didn't get a
previous
PhD
Republican
in
tax
common
cut
sense.
plans,
That's their
is that a
problem.
lot of those resources
you're just
went
all
to
autistic,
giving
and that
more
was their
take-home pay to
hyperfixation.
middle class and
Exactly.
working
That's what
class
it is.
Americans.
No, it
was
wait.
passed in 2017.
No,
and
it
we saw
didn't.
an American
It
economic
gave
boom
higher
unlike
benefits
we've
to the
seen
top
in any
1%.
generation in this country.
The
That
tax
is a
breaks
record that I'm
for
proud
the
to run
middle
on, and
class
we're gonna get
have
back to that
ended
common
because
sense
they were a
wisdom
very
so
short
that
period
you
of
can
time
afford
compared
to
to the
live
ones that
the
are for the top
American
1%
dream again.
being
I know a lot of you are
permanent.
struggling. I know a lot of you are worried about paying the bills. It's gonna stop when Donald Trump.
No, it's not. It got
brings
worse
back
when
common
Trump was
sense
in
to this
office.
country.
Governor, do you want to respond to
no,
that?
trust,
What has Kamala Harris done for the
know.
American
We know.
Guys,
Kamala
trust me, I have
Harris's
common
day
sense,
one
not a
was
PhD.
Donald Trump's failure on COVID that led to the collapse of our
That's
economy.
essentially
We were
what he
already
said.
before COVID in a
went to
manufacturing
Wharton
recession,
for
but 10 million
common
people out of
sense.
work,
Yeah,
largest
yeah.
percentage since the Great Depression.
You guys don't
9
have a
million
major in
jobs
common sense?
closed on that. That was day one.
I have a
Whether it
minor
was
in
the
it.
Infrastructure Act or other things we
Common
moved. Now,
sense,
you
chat.
made a question
double
about
major in
experts
common
said this.
sense.
I
That's
made a
gonna
note
be,
of
look.
this.
I don't need a
Economists
PhD in
don't
pharmaceutical
really
sciences. I have common sense when it comes to of
can't
drugs.
be trusted. National security folks can't be trusted. Look, if you're going to be president, You don't have all the answers. Donald Trump believes he does. My pro tip of the day is this. If you need heart surgery, listen to the people at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota.
I would consider
that. The same thing goes with this.
Walz.
And I ask you.
No. That's not Coach Walz. No, Coach Walz is direct mention of him being a coach.
How is it fair that you're paying your taxes every year and Donald Trump hasn't paid any federal tax 10 of the last 15 years? Last year as president. That's what's wrong with the system.
I love Vance's little,
and he's
his little
bragged
Kurt
about
turn
that.
at the camera.
We're just asking for fairness in it, and that's all you want.
Governor, you say trust the experts. But
Yeah.
those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere,
and everyone
it would
is
make the middle
unemployed
class stronger.
now.
They were wrong about that. They were wrong about the idea that if we made
Yeah,
America
look,
less
guys,
self-reliant,
they were
less
wrong about the COVID vaccine. They
productive
were
in our
wrong
own
about
nation,
this
that would
fact of
somehow
like
make us
global
better off,
warming. We don't
and they
trust
were wrong
experts
about it.
here. Come
And
on.
for the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had the
This
wisdom
house
and the
really
courage
trusts our
to
own
say
science.
to that bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore. We're bringing American manufacturing back. We're unleashing American energy. We're gonna
Biden
make
did
more of
that,
our own
too, with
stuff.
the
And this
fucking
isn't
Chip
just an
Act.
economic issue. And I've got 3 beautiful little kids at home, 7, 4, and 2, and I love them very much, and I hope they're in bed right now. But look, so many of the drugs, the pharmaceuticals that we put in the bodies of our children are manufactured by
They're going back to immigrants!
This has to stop, and we're not going to stop it by listening to experts. We're going to stop it by listening to common sense wisdom, which is what Donald Trump
back to
does.
immigrants with drug-mule
Governor Walz,
children.
Can you address that? I mean, voters say they trust Donald Trump on the economy more. Why?
If you're listening tonight and you want billionaires to get tax cuts, you heard what the numbers were.
Another billionaire.
I'm a union guy on this. I'm not a guy who wanted to ship things overseas, but I understand that, look, we produce soybeans and corn. We need to have fair trading partners. That's something that we believe in. I think the thing that most concerns me on this is Donald Trump was the guy who created the largest trade deficit in American history with China. So the rhetoric is good. Much of what the senator said right there, I'm in agreement with him on this. I watched it happen too. I watched it to my communities, and we talked about that.
Fucking Reagan era politics, like trickle-down economics.
Undercutting the right to collectively bargain. We had right to work states made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to ship it over, and we saw people profit. Folks that are venture capital in some cases, putting money into companies that were overseas. We're in agreement that we bring those home. The issue is Donald Trump is talking about it. Kamala Harris has a record, 250,000 more manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
May I respond to that?
Really good.
Yes.
There's a fact-checking thing.
I appreciate that. So if you notice what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts.
We'll
and then
do
when
that
he
at the
acknowledged
break.
that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics
No, that's a
show.
gross generalization.
That's because neither of them were the one to put that policy in place.
I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play
Experts
whack-a-mole.
weren't
You've
the
got
ones to put
pretend
that
Donald
policy
Trump
in place.
didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that
No,
Donald
he
Trump didn't
didn't.
deliver lower inflation, which of course he did.
No, he
And
didn't.
Simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries,
Harris
and
has
housing
caused
unaffordable
Biden
for American
Harris
citizens.
has
I was
caused
raised by a
inflation
woman who would sometimes
rates to
go
go
into
down to the
medical
lowest
debt
they have been
so
in
that she could put
fucking
food
years.
on the table in our
Terrible
household.
record, my ass.
I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford.
Yeah,
We can
but that's
do
not
so much
their
better.
fault.
To
They were
all of you
handed an
watching,
economy
we
that
can
was
get
already
back
shit, and
to
they've
an
not done
America that's
great with
affordable
it, but
again.
they've done at
We've
least
just
better
got
than
to get back
Trump.
to common sense economic principles.
I hope we have a conversation on health.
Sorry, you're right.
Senator,
I don't have
Thank
common
you,
sense,
Margaret.
right?
We have a lot to get to ahead, gentlemen, on many topics. But right now, I want to talk about personal qualifications. The vice president is often the last voice the president hears before making consequential decisions.
It's almost like the vice president doesn't really have the power to enact things.
Qualities. Governor Walz,
Guys, are you
you said
fact-checking
you were in
again? I
Hong
was told
Kong
you guys
during the
were
deadly
going to do that
Tiananmen
again.
Square protests in the spring of 1989.
Oh my gosh,
The
this is
Minnesota
a
Public
tangent.
Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually
Tiananmen
didn't travel
Square.
to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy? You have 2 minutes.
Well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17.
All right, military
worked on family
service mentioned.
farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress.
He's growing on
for
me.
12 years. And
no,
in
Walz
Congress,
is just
I
dad
was one of the
vibes.
most
He's just dad
bipartisan
vibes.
working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything.
Talk about
Many
your good
times
That's got to be, that's close to education as we get, I think.
No.
Being there.
Oh, wait, he did
the
mention
impact it
teaching,
made,
yeah.
The difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID, and I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier, or was being a good member of
I already
Congress,
put education for this
those are the
tangent.
things that I think are the values that people care about.
No, it sounds like education.
Just to follow up on
Doesn't
that,
sound like common sense,
the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said.
That's what the libs are doing wrong.
So I was in
We're trusting experts with PhDs.
Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Why did his eyes get so big there?
Yeah, I was going to comment.
Thank you, Governor. Senator Vance, in 2016, you called your running mate Donald Trump unfit for the nation's
This is a Trump relationship with Vance. This is a Trump relationship with Vance.
I know you've been asked many times, and you've said you regret those comments and explained you then voted for Donald Trump in 2020. But the Washington Post reported new messages last week in which you also disparaged Trump's economic record while he was president, writing to someone in 2020, quote, Trump thoroughly failed to deliver his economic populism. You're now his running mate, and you've shifted many of your policy stances to align with his.
Like an hour.
If you become vice president, why should Americans trust that you will give Donald Trump the advice he needs to hear, and not just the advice he wants to hear? You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Margaret, because I've always been open, and sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest
Trump has already said that he doesn't talk to Vance.
Record.
I don't think they have a good
relationship. Most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people.
No, he didn't.
Rising wages, rising take-home pay, an economy that worked for normal Americans.
Donald Trump is losing fucking legal suits right now.
I didn't think he'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it. It's one of the reasons, Margaret, why I've done so many interviews, because I think it's important to actually explain to the American people where I come down on the issues and what changed. Now, you pointed out to messages from 2020. Margaret, I've been extremely consistent that I think there were a lot of things that we could have done better in the Trump administration the first round if Congress was doing its job. I strongly believe
if Congress was doing its job.
Congress is not just a high-class debating society. It's not just a forum for senators and congressmen to whine about problems. It's a forum to govern. So there were a lot of things on the border, on tariffs, for example, where I think that we could have done so much more if the Republican Congress and the Democrats in Congress had been a little bit better about how they govern the country. They were so obsessed with impeaching Donald Trump, they couldn't actually govern. And I want to talk about this tariff issue in particular, Margaret, because Tim just accused this of being a national sales tax.
We talk shit on Eric Adams.
And
that's not your job.
Probably surprised to hear me.
That's literally what it's gonna be. Do you think that the companies are going to eat the tariff price? No, the consumers are going to eat that shit.
Jobs. And it's the one issue, the most pro-worker part of the Biden administration. It's the one issue where Kamala Harris has run away from Joe Biden's record. Think about this. If you're trying to employ slave laborers in China,
the couch in the Oval Office will never be safe.
You're going to do that and undercut the wages of American workers unless our country stands up for itself and says you're not accessing our markets unless you're paying middle-class Americans a fair wage.
Senator, your time is
That's
up.
not what's going to
North-
happen with
Totally
tariffs,
agree. Now
though.
to the issue of
You're totally
reproductive
gonna
rights.
do.
Governor
You're
Walz,
totally gonna
after
care
Roe
about
versus Wade
Eric
was
Oh,
overturned,
wait,
you signed
abortion.
a bill into law that made Minnesota
Hog?
one of the least restrictive states
Guys,
in the nation
no,
when it comes
you
to
can't fact
abortion.
check me. That's
Former
not allowed.
President
Wait, do we
Trump
have an
said in the
abortion
last
more?
debate
No, we don't,
that you
but-
believe abortion, quote,
Fertility
in the
treatment?
ninth
Yeah.
month is absolutely fine.
Close.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Is that what you support? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not what the bill says, but look.
To the
this-
ninth month?
this
Yeah, the ninth
issue
month is not
what's
what
on
happens here.
everyone's mind.
The ninth
Donald
month is
Trump put
only
this all
happens
into
in, again,
motion.
medical
He
necessity.
brags about how great it was.
Yeah.
But
and put
a
the
lot of
judges
states
in
limit
and
that
overturned
shit.
Roe versus Wade. 52 years of personal autonomy. And
Why
then he
the
tells
ninth
us,
month,
oh,
like-
send it to the states. It's
Ninth
a
month is third
beautiful thing.
trimester.
Amanda
Yeah.
Zaworski would
Yeah,
disagree
but again,
with you
the
on
only
this.
reason that happens.
A young bride in
the woman
Texas
is gonna
waiting for
die.
their child.
Yeah,
at
it's the only way that
18
happens
weeks.
is medical
She has a
necessity.
complication, a tear in the membrane.
Yeah,
she
but
needs
wait.
to go in. The medical care
He just
at
talked
that
about
point
that.
needs
Wait,
to be
pop
decided by
off
the doctor.
walls.
And that would have been an abortion. But in Texas, that would
fertility
have put them
treatment,
in legal
Wait.
jeopardy. She
hit.
went
I don't
home,
think I can
got
speak anymore.
sepsis, nearly dies, and now she may have difficulty having children.
Walls is popping
Or
off here.
in Kentucky, Hadley Duvall, a 12-year-old child raped and impregnated by her stepfather. Those are horrific. Now, when God asked about that, Senator Vance said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. There is no right.
That
in
is
this.
what they said.
So in Minnesota, what we did was restore Roe versus Wade. We made sure that we put women in charge of their health care.
Dude, he's popping off a little.
This is not where, if you don't know Amanda or a Hadley, you soon will. Their Project 2025 is going to have a registry
Project 2025
of
mentioned.
pregnancies. It's going to make it more difficult, if not
bingo.
impossible,
Bingo.
to get
It's
contraception
pretty much a bingo.
and limit
Not yet.
access.
It's
if
got
not
couch and
eliminate
coach walls or
access to
fertility treatment
infertility
gun
treatment.
rights. So
For so
We're
many of you
almost-
out there
we're
listening,
almost
me
at our first
included,
bingos, guys.
infertility treatments are why I have a child. That's nobody else's
fertility
business,
treatments.
But those things are being proposed.
He said it
And
verbatim.
the catch-all on this is well, the states will decide
you
what's
need
right
to
for
empty that
Texas
bag
might not
now,
be
dude.
right for Washington. That's not how
I
this
thought you were
works.
not at-
This is basic
It's
human
5
rights.
different
We
ones.
have
It's not
seen
5.
Oh, okay.
It's 5 in a
I
row.
would be annihilated.
mortality
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4,
skyrocket
5,
in
I have to
six.
get
Texas,
up in the morning.
outpacing many
I
other
can't-
countries
I
in the
can't
world.
do-
This
Yeah,
is
I
about
do the
healthcare.
Drake
In
purging.
Minnesota, we are ranked first in healthcare for a reason. We trust women. We trust doctors.
Senator, do you want
Nah,
to respond to
doctors
the
have a
governor's claim? Will you
PhD or an
create a
MD,
federal
not common
pregnancy
sense.
Yeah, they have
monitoring agency?
That's true. But they have
No,
MDs, not
certainly we
PhDs.
won't. And I want to talk about this issue because I know
We can-
a lot of Americans
MDs,
care about it, and I know a
PhDs,
lot of
no.
Americans don't agree with
MD
everything
has
that I've ever said on this
Yeah.
topic. And
They can
you know,
give me my
I grew up in a working class family
opioids.
in a neighborhood where I knew a lot of young women who had
The pain
unplanned
is-
pregnancies and decided to terminate those pregnancies because they feel like they didn't have any other options. And you know, I one of them is actually very dear to me, and I know she's watching tonight.
But
and I
that's
love
that.
you.
Yeah,
She
so
told
you're
me
saying that you
something
want
about years
people
ago
who
that
can't
she felt
afford,
like if she
who
hadn't
can't
had that
survive with,
abortion,
barely
that
can't
it
survive
would
on their
destroy her
own,
life.
to have a
It's
child
a
to survive
abusive
with.
relationship.
Yeah,
And I think that what I take from that as a
That's just-
Republican
this
who
is bad.
proudly wants to
Just to
protect
claim that someone did
innocent
that.
life in this country, who proudly
I
wants
really
to
wanna
protect
ask
the
him when life
vulnerable,
begins.
is that
When does
my
he think
party,
life
we've got to
fucking
do
begins?
so much better of a job
That's just a
at
shitty
earning
question.
the American
I got
people's
you.
trust
Don't give a
back
shit.
on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things
They
that
don't
Donald
trust
Trump
you 'cause
and
you're
I
not listening to
are
fucking
endeavoring
doctors,
to do.
dumbass.
I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word.
Yeah, no,
I
no,
want
no,
us
no.
to support
They're
fertility treatments.
pro-life
I want us to
until
make it
it's
easier
born,
for
and once
moms
it's born, they
to
don't give a
afford to have
shit
babies.
about
I want
life.
it to make it easier for young families
Look at gun
to
rights.
afford a home.
Look at
so
how
they
they
can
treat
afford a
poor
place
and middle
to
class
raise
people.
that family. And I
Look
think
at how
there's
they
so
treat
much that we
fucking
can do
migrant
on the
children.
public policy
They
front
don't give a
just
shit
to
about
give
life after
women
birth.
more options. Now, of course, Donald Trump has been very clear that on the abortion policy specifically, that we have a big country and it's diverse.
Oh, yeah.
And California has a different viewpoint on this than
Yeah, Trump's gonna
Georgia.
be like,
Georgia has a
"Hey,
different
I heard everything
viewpoint
that JD
from
Vance said.
Arizona, and the
Not gonna do
proper
any of
way to
that."
handle
I
it,
don't
as
trust
messy as
JD.
democracy sometimes
About it,
is to let voters
the point
make
where
these
Laura Loomer
decisions,
becomes
let the
VP.
individual states
So
make
wait,
their
wait,
abortion
so
policy.
so I'm
And
hearing
I think that's
individual
what
states
makes
should have the
most
right to
sense
decide.
in a
Okay,
very
what about
big,
sanctuary
a very
cities then?
diverse,
Because
and
Trump
let's be
said he was
honest,
going to remove all
sometimes
sanctuary
a
cities if he
very,
got into
very
office. That doesn't
messy
seem like he's
and
letting
divided
states
country.
decide, is it?
Governor, would you like to respond? And and also answer the
We're
question
gonna
about
have
restrictions.
another.
Yeah, well, the question got asked, and Donald Trump made the accusation that
I will
wasn't true
say-
about Minnesota. Well, let me tell you about this idea that there's diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber
better
Thurman.
this
She
than
happened to
what
be
the
in
last one was
Georgia,
about.
a restrictive
That's
state.
true.
Because of that,
But
she
it's
had to
like-
travel a long
Not
distance
good.
to
It's really
North
bad.
Carolina
States' rights
to
is
try
always
and
like
get her
states'
care.
rights to violate.
Civil War, yeah.
human rights.
That's
in
what
that
it is.
journey back and forth. The fact of the matter is, how can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography. There's a very real chance that Amber Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today. That's why the restoration of Roe versus Wade. When you listen to Vice President Harris talk about this subject and you hear me talk about it, you hear us talking exactly the same. Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to get
JD Vance's relationship with Trump.
I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His running mate, though, does not.
Like, I do understand that.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, let me ask you about that. He mentioned, it was, I think, referring to a national ban. In the past, you have supported a federal ban on abortion after 15 weeks.
I know this is basically tough to watch. That's why I'm drinking with them, Sky.
Someone can't support legislation like that. Quote, you are making the United States the most barbaric pro-abortion regime anywhere in the entire world. My question is, why have you changed your position?
Well, Nora, first of all, I never supported a national ban. I did when I was running for Senate in 2022 talk about setting some minimum national standard. For example,
look, I never supported it. I did.
in place in this country at the federal level. I don't think anybody's trying to get rid of that, or at least I hope not. Though I know that Democrats have taken a very radical pro-abortion stance. But Nora, you know, one of the things that changed is in the state of Ohio, we had a referendum in 2023, and the people of Ohio voted overwhelmingly, by the way, against my position. And I think that what I learned from that,Ora, is that we've
they voted against my position.
Learn that people do not like you, bro.
So what we've learned from that is I'd be a great vice president.
Unplanned pregnancy is something that's going to destroy their livelihood, destroy their education, destroy their relationships, and we have got to earn people's trust back. And that's why Donald Trump and I are committed to pursuing pro-family policies, making childcare more accessible, making fertility treatments more accessible.
Fertility treatment.
We've got to do a better job.
Wait, no,
that's
the opposite of what they want to do. They don't think fertility treatments should be more accessible.
Piece of that. No, we're not. We're pro-women. We're pro-freedom to make your own choice. We know what the implications are to not be that. Women having miscarriages, women not getting the care, physicians feeling like they may be prosecuted for providing that care.
Give actual paid leave
for educating our children and giving them options.
Are you going to make it possible?
One of the lowest teen pregnancy rates. We understand that too. We know that the options need to be available, and we make that true. We also make it we're a top 3 state.
Yeah, no, it's
the best place to raise children.
They
but these two things to try and say
when they say pro-family,
again,
it's pro-family up until birth, and then after that, they don't give a shit about the family.
We are pro-freedom.
They only care about
and we're going, and Kamala Harris is making the case to make options for children more affordable, a $6,000 child tax credit, but we're not going to base that on the backs of making someone like Amber Thurman drive 600 miles to try and get health care.
Like school lunches kind of sounds like socialism. The children should starve unless they're in the vibes.
And there are a lot of people who should still be alive.
No, you have to buy exclusively lunch leave.
And maybe
sponsored.
You're free to disagree with me on this and explain this to me. But as I read the Minnesota law that you signed into the statute that you signed into law, it says that a doctor who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. That is, I think, whether you're pro-choice or pro-abortion, that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some of what we've seen, do you want to force Catholic hospitals to perform abortions against their will? Because Kamala Harris has supported suing Catholic nuns.
Well, okay, we're bringing religion into this. Do you want to support the fact that
women who have children against their will?
No, abortion, like Judaism allows abortions. Do you want to stop that then? Seems like kind of arguing against two different poses here.
This is a very simple proposition.
Islam is
These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions, and the physicians who know best when they need to do that.
I see Vance is lying out his ass again. Oh, he already went like, guys, I thought you worked, Margaret. I thought you weren't going to fact check that, Margaret. Come on,
tell me. What was that wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written. Look, I've given this advice on a lot of things that getting involved, that's been misread, and it was fact checked at the last debate.
Some of the
point on this is there's a continuation of these guys.
Some of them are
important to get involved. I use this line on this. Just mind your own business on this. Things worked best when Roe versus Wade was in place. When we do a restoration of Roe, that
not ours.
Mind your own damn business is my favorite line.
From increasing funding for children,
as a man,
it doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals.
As a man, you can have that.
Oh, wait, school lunch mission.
They get health care. So hiding behind we're going to do all these other things when you're not proposing it in your
close.
budget. Kamala Harris is proposing them.
Close.
She's proposing all those things
Yeah,
to
I
make
know.
life easier for families.
I asked a specific question, Governor. You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says. So they fact-checked it with President Trump.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. We have to move on, and we're going to be right back with
they got
much
50
more
seconds.
of the CBS News vice presidential debate.
There's
in
already
just a
been an
moment.
hour of this? God.
Holy shit.
How have they talked about nothing in an hour?
Look at them.
Dude, look at Walz
right.
fucking...
He's about to cry. He looks so sad.
We don't know how to make resting faces.
Oh my god.
All right. Open up the fact checks.
Resting.
Yeah, all right, chat. So if you guys don't know, between the debates, what we normally do is we open up the fact check from the VP debate or whatever debate we're talking about. Let's look at the fact checks here. Walz claims former Trump House Chief of Staff John Kelly called Trump the most flawed human being he ever met.
This is true.
That's such a funny way of saying.
That is just true. Partially true. Walz claims that the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid death in our history. This is a crisis.
I would rather go to
opioid deaths have fallen to the lowest
organization
level in 3 years
than CBS directly.
Oh, that's true.
Was it 30% though, or was it less than 30%?
Like just do factcheck.org.
Is that actually like a website?
Yep.
Oh shit, you're right. Okay, but do they have it specifically for the debate?
Fact checking Harris.
They might not.
No, not yet. They're not doing it live. It looks like
they're not gonna be doing it live. Go.
Politico does it live.
Yeah,
Politico does.
No, Politico's topping about CBS doing it.
Damn it.
Probably the CBS.
All right,
one,
fine.
man.
Fuck it. Not PBS.
No, because yeah, CBS. This is their like. Oh, wait, I gotta reload
we'll trust it. We'll trust it to some degree.
I mean, they do provide sources at least. So hey. Let me see. It down 7% year before nationwide. Vance says Vice President Harris became the appointed border so far.
I love hitting on border czar.
Border czar is really funny.
Vance claims housing unaffordable because millions of illegal immigrants compete with Americans for scarce homes. Research indicates that the growth of immigration.
What?
Yeah. Is one of the factors. However, the housing shortage in the U.S. is estimated to be 1.5
Why are homes
million.
scarce? Why are homes scarce? Again.
It's almost like we treat houses as an investment and not like a living thing.
It's the illegals.
Is there not more?
Brainwashing employers to
How
pay
is there not
everyone
more?
less. The fuck?
This seems so bad. There's not more. Let's go to New York Times real quick.
It was just a very honest debate.
No
I
shot.
don't go to New York Times anymore for this stuff.
Oh, the CBP One app. I mean, look, I want like an actual good website.
CBP One.
PBS does have live fact checks.
Let's see what PBS. Look, we'll look at a couple.
I don't know. I've never seen PBS hit the political sphere. I mean, I know they have a news network, but like,
this is from PolitiFact. Vance Walz ended protections in Minnesota for babies born alive. This claim is false.
For babies born alive.
That is what it said.
That was essentially like they're talking about like the
like a
botched abortion. Yeah.
Right.
They didn't have to do anything about that. Wall was partially right about the economic conditions on day one of Biden-Harris. Day one, there were 10 million people out of work. The largest percentage is the Great Depression. Yeah, it was the unemployment rate was not a post-Great Depression high, but it was 14.8% at the start of the pandemic. Unemployment rate fell to 6.4% by the time Biden and Harris took office.
Right.
Didn't they do this exact same fact
Oh, wait,
check
this one. Vance claims that 3,200 or 320,000 children lost. It distorts the report. This is not what the Federal Oversight Report said. The claim refers to the Federal Oversight Report as unaccompanied minors, children who came to the U.S. without a parent or guardian. The report mentioned 32,000 children who failed to appear for their immigration court hearings and 291,000 children who Immigration and Customs had not served a notice to appear. So yeah, that's just completely wrong.
What the fuck was
complete bullshit?
He was saying that they were that we've lost the children.
But what was he saying
about
it?
They're being used for drug mules. They're being sex trafficked. They've lost the children. Just wrong. Woman's 2022 death in Georgia followed the state passing its 6-week abortion ban deemed preventable.
Small clown car.
Walz is partially true about the claim of record debt under Trump. Walz is wrong about the Project 2025 calls for a registry of pregnancies. Okay. Project 25 recommends the state submit more detailed abortion reports to the federal government, which is also still insane.
I do want to say I think that's like hype, like he's being exaggerating. Like
no, but it's still a good thing to fact check. To be fair,
Right.
Like how do you guys want to?
And the details really matter here, of course. For example, if a kid steals a gun, that's going to be different than if a parent hands over a gun knowing that their kid is potentially dangerous.
Gun rights?
Look, I want to just sort of speak as a father of 3 beautiful little kids, and our oldest is now in 2nd grade. And like a lot of parents, we send our kids to school with such hope and such joy and such pride at their little faces on the first day of school. And we know, unfortunately, that a lot of kids are going to experience this terrible epidemic of gun violence. And of course, our hearts go out to the families that are affected by this terrible stuff. It's almost like if you take away the fucking guns, it stops. We do have to do better. And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agree that we need to do better on this. The question is just how do we actually do it? Now, here's something that really bothers me and worries me about this epidemic.
Don't you dare fucking say good guy with a gun.
The gross majority, close to 90%, and some of the statistics I've seen, of the gun violence in this country is committed with illegally obtained firearms. And while we're on that topic, we know that thanks to Kamala Harris's open border, we've seen a massive influx in the number of illegal guns run by the Mexican drug cartel. So that number, the amount of illegal guns in our country is higher today than it was 3.5 years ago. But what do we do about our schools? What do we do to protect our kids? And I think the answer is, and I say this not loving the answer, because I don't want my kids to go to school in a school that feels unsafe or where there are visible signs of security. But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the doors locked better. We have to make the doors stronger. We've got to make the windows stronger. And of course, we've got to increase school resource officers. We've got to make the windows stronger. The idea that we can magically wave a wand and take guns out of the hands of bad guys, it just doesn't fit with recent experience. So we've got to make our schools safer. We got to take the guns out of the hands of bad guys. Solutions for how to do that.
Governor, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I think all the parents watching tonight, this is your biggest nightmare. Look, I got a 17-year-old, and he was at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. As a member of Congress, I sat in my office.
Also bingo, by the way.
Dozens of the Sandy Hook parents.
We do have a bingo.
And they were looking at my 7-year-old picture on the wall. Their 7-year-old were dead. And they were asking us to do something. And look, I'm a hunter. I own firearms. The vice president is. We understand that the Second
gun rights for Walz
is there, but our first responsibility is to our kids to figure this out.
No, there's a clip of Kamala Harris on Oprah,
enacted,
and she's like
enhanced.
So Oprah was like saying like, oh, like, do you guys want to like?
And we can start to get data.
No,
but here's the problem.
I have done.
If we really want to solve this,
this is from the last debate too. He's like, we're gun owners.
To be even
I should not say that on air.
And this idea that we should just live with it.
Yeah, you're lying.
Here's what I do think. This is a good start to the conversation.
She did say that even in the last debate. She said that her and Walz are both gun owners.
It's abhorrent and it breaks your heart. I agree with that, but that's not far enough. When we know there are things
guys,
that work.
what we really got to do is we got to make the windows better, is what he said. It was what Vance said. It's like, what the fuck?
They don't have this happen, even though they have a high gun ownership rate in the country.
Oh, wait.
There are reasonable things that we can do to make a difference. It's not infringing on your Second Amendment. And the idea to have some of these weapons out there, it just doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris, as an attorney general, worked on this issue. She knows that it's there. No one's trying to scaremonger and say we're taking your guns, but I ask all of you out there, do you want your schools hardened to look like a fort? Is that what we have to go? When we know there's countries around the world that their children aren't practicing these types of drills. They're being kids. We owe it to them to get a fix. These are things that shouldn't be that difficult.
This is a government issue. It's not the kids' fault.
And we can make a difference. We have to.
But look, schools have to look more like prisons. What do you mean?
Senator.
Tim, first of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. I'm sorry about that, and I hope that he's doing okay. Christ have mercy.
Dude, he's too kind.
It is awful. And I
appreciate
what Tim said actually about
gun reform or anything.
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Some of the frankly weird differences between our own country's gun violence problem and Finland is okay. First of all, we have way higher rates of mental health abuse or mental health substance abuse. We have way higher rates of depression, way higher rates of anxiety. We unfortunately have a mental health crisis in this country that I really do think that we need to get to the root cause of, because I don't think it's the whole reason why we have such a bad gun violence problem.
Yeah, because our healthcare is abysmal.
Another driver of the gun violence epidemic, especially that affecting our kids, it doesn't earn as many headlines, but is the terrible gun violence problem in a lot of our big cities. And this is why we have to empower law enforcement to arrest the bad guys, put them away, and take gun offenders off the streets. I think it's a whole host of things that we can do here.
It's almost like big cities, which have more people, have more guns because people own guns.
You previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those San Diego parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety. I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today.
Oh, after football practice, that's Coach Vance. That's Coach Walz.
On this is talking about cities and where it's at. The number one,
they told me not to come to
where the most firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves. And so we have and we should look at all of the issues.
Or two, like
making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful. This
well, no, the number one cause of child death now is just getting
shot.
You
have a mental health issue,
either by themselves or by others.
And I think what we end up
surpassed
doing is
vehicular manslaughter.
Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns, and there are things that you can do about it. But I do think that this is one, and I think it's a healthy conversation. I think there's a capacity to find solutions on this that work, protect Second Amendment, protect our children.
No, being President Riley VP is an abysmal. I'm sorry, I'm not supporting that.
Let's turn now to the top contributor to inflation. The high cost of housing
and rent. You know how many Bill Clintons
There's a shortage of more than 4 million homes in the United States, and that contributes to the high housing prices. Governor Walz, the Harris campaign promises a $20,000 down payment.
You're not married, Dee. You can't have an affair.
And a $10,000 tax credit.
I don't know, but Monica looking
mad fine. They also promised to build 3 million new homes.
Geek did 9/11.
Building these homes, and
that was Bush, not Clinton.
Money just drive up prices higher.
No, it's not handing out. We have first. Let me say this: this issue of housing, and I think those of you listening on this, the problem we've had is that we've got a lot of folks that see housing as another commodity. It can be bought up, it can be shifted, it can be moved around. Those are not folks living in those houses. Those of you listening tonight, that house is a big deal. I bought and owned one house in my life. My mom still lives in the house where I was. And when I think of a house, I'm thinking of Christmas services after midnight mass.
No,
Walz
is great.
Family.
We love Walz here.
We need to make it
Walz
more
is just
affordable.
a dad.
And one of the things, as I said, this program that the Vice President is pushing forward and bringing a new way of approaching this is something we're doing in Minnesota from that lead. We in the state invested in making sure our housing was the biggest investment that we'd ever made in housing. It starts to make it easier. We cut some of the red tape. Local folks, look, we can't do it at the federal level, but local folks make it easier to build those homes. And then that down payment assistance. I can tell all of you out there,
I love his little reactions
certainly
that he does
for
every
me,
time. He says
using the GI Bill was one thing.
Seems better fit than Kamala. That's so valid.
The big thing about a veteran's home
look,
loan
he
is
could serve 2 years as vice president, then serve 2 years as president.
Those are things that make it.
He'd still be younger than Trump.
And you're going to pay your mortgage. Those are things that we know in the long run, the appreciated value, the generational wealth that's created from it. And I will give Minneapolis an example. Minneapolis is the one city where we've seen the lowest inflation rates. We've seen a 12% increase in stock because we've put some of these things in, and we're implementing a state program to make sure we give some of that down payment assistance.
It's not hard to be younger than Trump.
Because here's what we know. People with stable housing end up with stable jobs. People with stable housing have their kids able to get to school. All of those things in the long run
stable housing don't have to worry about whether or
and that's
not
the
they have a
thing that I
roof over
think
their
we should be able
fucking
to find some common ground in, but we can't blame
housing is almost like something that we need to live.
The fact of the matter is that we don't have enough naturally affordable housing, but we can make sure that the government's there to help kickstart it, create that base.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, as far as your campaign's position, the promise is to seize federal lands to build homes, remove regulation, provide tax breaks, and
removing
cut
regulation
back
would be
on immigration,
abysmal.
which you
removing
say
regulation is just
going to
make houses way. Why is
Where
Taylor
are you
Swift
gonna
on the
build?
bingo?
What kind of
Because
homes you're
Taylor Swift
promising,
endorsed
and what
Kamala.
part of any of this plan will provide immediate relief.
Or radon in homes.
Well, first of all,
look, guys, we're gonna deregulate housing. So like, we're gonna make housing like much worse, much cheaper. Because like, we don't care about spending money. Diet Mountain Dew. Oh, JD Vance at a rally said, "I'm drinking my Diet Mountain Dew." Now they're gonna call me racist for that.
25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans
Yeah,
for
you'll have
scarce
a house.
homes
You
is
might
one of
not
the
have a
most
roof,
significant
but
drivers
you'll have a house.
of home prices in the
You're
country.
no,
It's
you won't have a
why we
house. That house is gonna like
massive
crumble whenever you like
increases
knock
in
on the
home
wall
prices
once.
that have happened right alongside
like
massive
a
increases in
Buster
illegal
Keaton
alien populations.
Immigration
under Kamala
again.
Harris's leadership. Now, Tim just mentioned a bunch of ideas.
What?
Some of those ideas I actually think are halfway decent, and some of them I disagree with. But the most important thing here is Kamala Harris is not running as a newcomer to politics. She is the sitting vice president. If she wants to enact all of these policies to make housing more affordable, I invite her to use the office that the American people already gave her, not
She's
sit
the
around
vice
and campaign
fucking
and do nothing
president,
while
dipshit.
Americans find the American dream of homeownership completely unaffordable.
She
Now, you
can't
asked
pass
Margaret,
fucking
will it
policies.
immediately change the
Kamala's running
equation
for
for
president
American
now,
citizens if you lower
also
energy
been
prices. As Donald Trump says, drill,
Vice
baby,
President
drill.
in
One of
the
the
White
biggest
House.
drivers
Look,
of housing costs aside from
she's
illegal
been in the
immigration.
you've been in the
Think
White
about it.
House,
If a truck
dipshit. You're a
driver's paying
fucking
40%
senator.
more for
Do we
diesel,
blame everything
then
on
the
you?
lumber he's delivering to the job site to build the house is also going to become a lot more expensive. If we open up American energy, you will get immediate pricing relief for American citizens, not, by the way, just in housing, but in a whole host of other economic goods, too.
I love my pricing relief.
Senator Vance, you still have 23 seconds there. Do you want to answer
Can I have it?
where? Yeah. Governor, we will get to you in a moment. But
Why are you
Senator,
guys?
where
No,
are you
Vance
gonna
is
seize
not
the
more
federal
fit.
lands?
No
Can you
shot.
clarify?
Vance is more fit than
Well,
Trump,
what Donald
honestly.
Trump has said is we have a lot of
Vance
federal
is
lands
much
that aren't
more,
being used
like,
for anything. They're not being used for
Vance
national
is just
parks.
worse
They're not
than
being
Trump
used,
somehow.
and they could
No,
be places where we build a lot of housing. And I
He's
do think that we
charisma.
should be
I'm sure
opening
he's
up
got some
building in
stuff
this
underneath.
country. We have a lot of land that
Definitely.
could
I will
be
say,
used. We have a
him and
lot of
Trump
Americans that
both
need
hit
homes. We
immigration
should be
so
kicking out
fucking
illegal
much during
immigrants
their
who are
debates.
competing for those homes.
Yeah.
They
and we
cannot
should be
shut up
building
about
more homes for
immigration.
the American citizens who deserve to be here.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, I do
Well,
want
he
to let
seems
you
more well-spoken.
respond
He is,
to
to
the
be fair.
allegation
He's just
that
younger.
the vice president is letting in.
Well, of course, that's not
migrants,
true. And again,
that
you
it's
have the
affecting
facts. I
housing
guess we
prices.
agreed not to fact check. I'll check it. Look, crossings are down compared to when Donald Trump left office. But it's, again, blaming and not trying to find the solution. I was going to ask, though, on this question, are we going to drill and build houses in the same federal land? And I think when people hear federal lands, these are really important pieces of land.
At least it isn't
now,
a bunch
Minnesota
of
doesn't
yelling
have a lot
and
of federal
insults.
lands. I
That's
know in
so
the western
valid,
part
though,
of the
actually.
country
You're
we
so
do.
right.
There's not a lot of federal lands in and around Minneapolis, for example. So the issue is I don't understand the federal lands issue.
Yeah, because last time Trump would not look
someone who
Kamala in
cares
the eyes
deeply
last
about our
time. It was so
national
funny.
parks and our federal lands. Look, Minnesota, we protect these things.
scared.
We've got
He was
about
afraid he was
20% of
gonna
the world's
pop
She
fresh
shook his
water.
hand
These
and
lands
asserted
are
dominance.
there
Trump
for
was
a
like,
reason. They
"Fuck,
belong
I'm
to all of
cooked.
us.
I'm
But
out
again,
of
this is when you view housing.
No,
and you
he's
view these
afraid
things
that
as
he's going to look at her as
commodities.
like,
There's a chance to make money here. Let's take this federal land and
black or
let's sell it to
Indian.
people for that. I think there's better ways
Look,
to
she
do this.
became black
We've
4
seen it
years
in
ago.
Minnesota. We're able to refurbish some of these houses. We're able to make some investments. That gets people
She
in.
wasn't
And I'm
black,
still
now she is black. I
on
don't
the
care.
fact on
Look,
this.
some of my best friends are
Economists.
black, but I'm
Senator
married.
Vance, you said you don't like the economists. Which
I've never
economists are
met a
saying
mixed
that it
man
is
before in my
immigrants that's
life.
adding to the cost?
Governor,
Let alone
Governor,
immigrants
your time
mentioned.
is- Your time is up, but Senator, on that
He
point,
apologized for going
for you
over
to clarify,
time.
There are many contributing factors to high housing costs. What evidence do you have that migrants
I don't want to support a
are
weak
part
vice
of this?
president. There goes my
Well,
vote.
there's a Federal Reserve study that we're happy to share after the debate. We'll put it up on social media,
you guys
actually, that
tweeted it.
really
On social
drills down
media,
on the
he's trying to
connection between
reflect with
increased
the
levels
kids.
of migration, especially illegal immigration, and higher housing prices. Now, of course, Margaret, that's not
Immigration
just the
again!
higher driver of higher housing prices.
No!
It's also the regulatory regime of Kamala Harris.
favorite way.
We are a country of builders. We're a country of doers. We're a country of explorers. But
Please
we
stop
increasingly
taking this
have a federal administration
two
that
beers
makes it
gone.
harder to develop our
How many
resources,
assists do I need?
makes it
Like,
harder
this
to
is
build
like, I
things,
need
and
to
wants to
empty
throw
this
people
thing.
in jail for not doing
Well, I've gone
everything
through 2 beers,
exactly
I'm
as
making a
Kamala
new drink
Harris says
now.
they have to do.
What
And what that
you
means
talking
is that you
about?
have a lot of people who would love to build homes who aren't able to build homes. I actually agree with Tim Walz.
It's
We should
almost
get out of
like
this idea of housing as
75%
a
of our
commodity.
fucking
But the
like
thing that has
infrastructure
most turned
zoning
housing
is
into a
zoned for
commodity
single-family
is
detached
giving it
housing
away
only,
to millions
and it's
upon
illegal to
millions of
build
people
anything
who
else on
have
that
no
land.
legal right to be here.
What are the federal regulations? I deal with this as a governor.
Oh!
You can very quickly reply.
I'm sorry. I get this as a governor, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, that in some cases, many of those are local. Many of them are state. I don't know which ones are federal, but I think whenever we talk regulations, people think they can get rid of them. I think you want to be able to get out of your house in a fire. I think you want to make sure that it's fireproof and those types of things. So which are the regulations? Because the vice president's not responsible for those. Congress writes those.
Governor, thank you. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. You're passionate about the housing crisis, I can tell. But Nora?
Thank you.
Oh, look at their
One of the
posture.
top problems
and that
facing
slide.
Americans
No, he's passionate about
is the high
immigrants.
cost of
I shouldn't be
healthcare.
talking.
Senator Vance.
Wait, healthcare?
At the last presidential debate, former President Trump was asked about replacing the Affordable Care Act. In response, he said, I have concepts
He looks
of
like
a
he's
plan.
got soft lips.
Since then, Senator, you've talked about changing how chronically
Why, you
ill
wanna
Americans get health insurance.
fix them,
Can you
guys.
explain
You can fix
how
them.
that
I
would
can
work?
fix JD
And
Vance.
can you guarantee that Americans
No,
with
you can't fix JD
pre-existing
Vance, Geek.
conditions
I'll reverse the
won't
twink death.
pay
I'll bring him
I'll
back.
give you 2 minutes.
Twink life.
He's too much
We're
of a
gonna cover
gooner.
Americans with pre-existing
Look at that
conditions.
profile
In
picture
fact,
we
a
have
lot
for
of
him
my
on the
family
board.
members have gotten health care.
It's the guy
I
line,
believe,
to be honest,
members of my family
Chat,
actually got
look at
private
this-
health
look at
insurance
this
at least for
photo.
the first time.
He's just a
switched off of
gooner.
Medicaid onto
He's
private
just
insurance
a
for the first time under Donald Trump's leadership. And I think that a lot
Wait,
of
wait,
people
wait,
have
what?
criticized this concepts of a plan remark. Look, it's very simple common sense. I think as Tim Walz knows from 12 years in Congress.
Wait, he just
you're
said
not
that more people
gonna
had
propose a
access to
900-page
healthcare under
bill
Trump? Wait.
Standing on a debate stage, it would bore everybody to tears.
His
And
relation
it
with
wouldn't
Trump.
actually mean
Dude,
anything
Walz is
because
writing
part of
something
this
down.
is the give and take
Oh
of
my God,
bipartisan
he's gonna cook.
negotiation.
He's cooking right now in his
when Donald
response.
Trump was actually
my
president,
God.
and again, he has a record
about
to
to
be
have
proud
the
of.
finger up and
Prescription
say,
drugs
actually.
fell in 2018
Literally
for the
doing the
first
social
time in a
writing
very long
inspired
time under
thing.
Kamala Harris's leadership. Prescription
say,
drugs
hey,
are up about
if you audio it,
7%. Under Donald
actually.
Trump's
Wait,
entire
wait.
4 years, they were up about 1.5%.
No, they've
He introduced
negotiated for
pricing
lower prescription
transparency.
drug
Think about
prices.
healthcare. You go to a
Talk
hospital,
about that,
you try to
huh?
buy
Oh, wait, you
something,
won't, 'cause
and
it's against
nobody
your
knows
fucking-
what it actually costs. That price transparency will actually give American consumers a little bit more
No,
choice.
you know
and
what
will
gives
also
American
drive
consumers
down
more
costs.
choice?
And we
Lowering
talked
the cost of
about,
prescription drug prices.
The
Do you know how
reinsurance
much
regulations is what I was talking
how much
about. Look,
overhead
Donald Trump
is
has
input
said
by
that if we allow
insurance.
states to experiment a
Insurance
little
is the
bit
reason
on
that
how
drugs
to cover
cost
both
so
the
fucking
chronically
much.
ill but the
As Walz already
non-chronically
mentioned,
ill,
insulin
it's not just a
costs so
plan.
little
He
to
actually
produce, but it
implemented some of
costs
these
so fucking
regulations
much
when
in
he
America
was president of the
because we
United
have
States. And I
privatized
think you can make
healthcare.
a really good
Look at
argument that it
Canada.
salvaged
Drugs in
Obamacare,
Canada
which
don't
was done
cost fucking much
disastrously until
because they
Donald
have,
Trump came along.
I don't know,
I think this is an
governmental
important point about
healthcare,
President Trump.
national
You don't have to
healthcare.
agree with everything that
they're
President
always
Trump
like,
has ever
oh,
said
yeah, we
or
wanna
ever
allow
done.
people,
But when Obamacare was crushing
'cause
under
some
the
people
weight of
might
its own
wanna
regulatory
pay
burden
more
and
money
healthcare
and
costs, Donald Trump
like,
could have
kick the
destroyed
shitty
the
out.
program.
You know,
Instead, he
consumers-
worked in a
consumers
bipartisan
deserve the
way to
freedom
ensure
that
that
make the
Americans had
worst
access to
choice.
Obamacare
affordable
wasn't
care.
crushing.
It's not perfect,
Oh,
of course, and
Geek,
there's
you gotta
some
follow
things
Buns
we
back
can
on
do,
Twitter,
but
by
I
the
think
way.
that Donald Trump has earned the
No.
right to put in place some better healthcare
you're here
policies.
first. Geek hates
He's
Buns.
I don't
earned
even
it
follow
because
Ava on
he did it
Twitter.
successfully the first time.
What the fuck?
All right, here's where
I don't
being
follow
an old
it,
guy
anyone
gives
on
you some
Twitter.
history.
Geek, I'm
there
kicking you now. I'm
at
sorry.
the creation
He's
of
having
the
a dad
ACA.
moment.
The reason it was so important is I come from a major healthcare state, home of the Mayo Clinic, home to Medical Alley. 3M,
Home of the Mayo Clinic is
Medtronic,
so
all
funny.
of those. We understand healthcare. It's why we're ranked first on affordability and accessibility and quality of healthcare.
No, he's cooking though.
And
He's
so
cooking.
what I know is under Kamala Harris, more people are covered than they have before. And those of you listening, this is critical to you. Now, Donald Trump all of a sudden wants to go back and remember
follow
this.
me, let's go.
He
Geek, you follow
ran
Riley, but
on
not
the
me. What
first
the
thing he was
fuck?
going to do on day one was to repeal Obamacare.
Well, I go on Riley's shows.
On day one,
I
he
need to
tried to
retweet
sign
that
an
shit.
executive order to
You're on
repeal
my
the
stream.
ACA. He signed on to a lawsuit
But I didn't retweet
to
it.
repeal the ACA, but lost at the Supreme Court. And he would have repealed the ACA had it not been for the courage of John McCain to say
Geek, I know
that.
we're friends.
But
Now,
he doesn't
fast
sound
forward,
like
what that
it.
means to you is you lose your pre-existing conditions. If you're sitting at home and you got asthma, too bad. If you're a woman,
Wait,
probably
no, he's
not.
cooking here.
Broke
Another
your foot
10
during
milligrams.
Wait,
pregnancy,
he's
might help
cooking.
you out. Your kids get kicked out when they're 26. Kamala Harris negotiated drug prices for the first time with Medicare. We have 10 drugs that will come online, the most common ones that'll be there. But look, this issue, and when Donald Trump said, I've got a concept of a plan, it cracked me up as a fourth grade teacher because my kids would have never given me that.
Education.
But what Senator Vance
Nope,
just explained
Coach.
might be worse than a concept.
It's
Because what he
something.
explained is pre-Obamacare. And I'll make this as simple as possible. possible because I have done this for a long time. What they're saying is, if you're healthy, why should you be paying more? So what they're going to do is let insurance companies pick who they insure, because guess what happens? You pay your premium, it's not much. They figure they're not going to have to pay out to you. But those of you a little older, gray, got cancer, you're going to get kicked out of it. That's why the system didn't work. Kamala Harris will protect and enhance the ACA.
Wait, he's nodding too.
Governor, thank you. Senator, you have not yet explained how you would protect people with pre-existing conditions or laid out that plan.
Well, look, we currently have laws and regulations in place right now that protect people with pre-existing conditions. We want to keep those regulations in place, but we also want to make the health insurance marketplace function a little bit better.
That sounds like socialism.
Now, what Governor Walz just said is actually not true. A lot of what happened and the reason that Obamacare was crushing under its own weight is that a lot of young and healthy people were leaving the exchanges.
Like shit this
Donald
guy is
Trump
spitting.
actually helped address that problem, and he did so in a way that preserved people's access to coverage who had pre-existing conditions.
No, he did not.
Something that these guys do is they make a lot of claims about if Donald Trump becomes
big
president,
buzzer that goes bam when people are wrong during
this
debate.
reality, Donald Trump was president.
These PhDers, these MDs, these people who have degrees, they don't have common sense.
The very program from a Democratic administration that was collapsing and would have collapsed absent his leadership. He did his job, which is govern in a bipartisan way and get results, not just complain about problems, but actually solve them.
No, he complained about problems all the time.
Under the Affordable Care Act go up under the Trump administration?
It's higher now that we've seen it go up. Look, people are using it. The system works. And the question about this of young people or whatever, that's the individual mandate piece of this. And Republicans fought tooth and nail saying, well, Americans should be free to do this. Well, then what happens is...
So you think the individual mandate's a good idea?
You shrink. I think the idea of making sure the risk pool is broad enough to cover everyone, that's the only way insurance works. When it doesn't, it collapses. You are asking pre-ACA where we get people out. Look, people know that they need to be on health care. People expect it to be there. And when we are able to make it, and are making it this way, when we incentivize people to be in the market, when we help people who might not be able to afford it get there, and we make sure then when you get sick and old, it's there for you. Because I heard people say, well, I don't want to buy into Medicare or whatever. Good luck buying health care once you get past 70. So look, the ACA works. We can continue to do better. Kamala Harris did that. The way she made everything better was negotiating those 10 drugs on Medicare for the first time in American history.
Thank you. Margaret?
Can I address that?
I apologize. We're out of time. We have a number of subjects to discuss. Margaret?
Let's talk about families in America.
No, Trump's going to, or Vance is going to say, my kids.
Crisis in this country, and the United States is one of the very few developed
You should be in bed. Kids, if you're watching, I'm going to kick your ass when I get home.
Without a national paid leave program for new parents.
Wait.
Governor Walz.
No, this is such a good thing.
I will grab the bell. Win both the White House and
when I get home.
This is a day one priority for you. How long should employers be required to pay workers while they are home taking care of their new
When I stand to the TV kids, I'm looking at you.
Well, that's negotiable.
I know exactly
what
you're doing.
I know you're not in bed right now, kids.
Americans sitting out there right now.
And they're like not eating their vegetables.
We're home in Minnesota to some of the largest Fortune 500 companies. Kamala Harris knows that in California. Those companies provide paid family medical leave. One is, I think they're moral and they think it's a good thing, but it also keeps their employees healthy. We in Minnesota passed a paid family medical leave. You have a child, and I had to go back to work 5 days after my kids were born. This allows you to stay home a certain amount of time. What we know is that gets the child off to a better start, the family works better, we stay in their employers, we get more consistency in that.
Correct.
So Kamala Harris has made it a priority. We implemented it in Minnesota, and we see growth. That's how you become a pro-business state. But the negotiations on it, and here's the issue, those big companies are able to offer it. Those of you out there who don't have it, just imagine what happens if you get cancer or your child gets sick. We know what happens. You end up staying home. In some places, that means no paycheck because you've got no protection on that. This is the case of an economy that Donald Trump has set
waiting for the socialism.
for the wealthiest amongst us. He's willing to give those tax breaks to the wealthiest.
I'm ready for
He's
J.D.
willing
Vance
to
use socialism
bust
as
those unions up, do
derogatory
whatever.
term.
What we're saying is the economy works best.
Damn socialists.
And so
Walz
paid
is a
family
socialist.
medical leave program, and I will tell you, go to the families or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as child care on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take care of our children,
Look,
our
Trump
parents
literally last
get
week was like,
paid
I
the
don't
least
talk to
amount of
JD
money.
Vance.
And
Look,
we have
JD
to
Vance
make
and
it
me,
easier for folks
don't
to
talk.
be able
I
to
don't know
get
him.
into that business and
Who's
then
that
to
He
guy?
make sure
opens
that
his
folks
mouth,
are
but
able to
not
pay
for
that.
saying
We were
words.
able to do
Who's
this in
that
Minnesota,
guy? I don't
and I'm
know.
still telling you this. We were listed as the best
Oh, he's
state
my
for
VP?
opioid
I didn't know
crisis
that.
in this. A federal program of paid family medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have
Dude,
the
wait,
children
he's
that you
spitting
want.
here.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, do you support a national paid leave program? And if so, for how long
Margaret, I think that's
should employers
socialism.
be mandated to pay their employees while they are home taking
might.
care of their newborn?
might hit.
I
2
actually
minutes.
just hate the
Yeah,
American
well, first of
people.
all, Margaret, a number of my Republican colleagues and some
First of all,
Democrats too
Margaret.
have worked on this issue, and I think there is a bipartisan solution here because a lot of us care about this issue. I mean, look, I speak from this very personally because I'm married to a beautiful woman who's an incredible mother to our three beautiful kids, but is also a very, very brilliant corporate litigator, and I'm so proud of her. But
Look,
being
my
a working
children.
mom, even for somebody with all of the advantages of my wife, is extraordinarily difficult. And it's not just difficult from a policy perspective. She actually had access to paid family leave because she
I
worked
thought
for
he said
a
that
bigger
my
company.
wife is
But the
very
cultural
difficult.
pressure
policy
on
perspective
young
of a
families and especially
factor
young
in their
women,
marriage?
I think makes it really
That's
hard
crazy.
for people to choose the family
kind of
model they want. A lot of young
relationship
women
do
would
you
like to go back
have,
to work
dude?
immediately.
Wait,
Some would like to spend a
he's
little
just
time
agreeing
home
with
with
Walz
the
here?
kids. Some
Hold
would
up.
like to spend longer
Honey,
at
how
home
are you
with the
doing
kids.
today
We
from
should
Walz
have a
perspective?
family care model that makes choice possible. And I think this is a very important
he's just
substantive
agreeing with
difference
Walz here.
between Donald
The
Trump and Kamala
Torsley,
Harris.
the Torsley loves choice. Yes,
Look at the federal programs
pro-choice.
that we have that
I'm hearing
support paid family
Look,
leave
look, he's
right
only
now.
agreeing with
The
Walz because it
Community
involves his
Development
children.
Block Grant, and there's another block grant program that
You know, my
spends a lot of
children.
money from the federal government.
I got
These
3 of them.
programs only go to one kind of child care model. Let's say you'd like your church maybe to help you out with child care. Maybe you live in a rural area or an urban area and you'd like to get together with families in your neighborhood to provide child care in the way that makes the most sense. You don't get access to any of these federal monies. We want to promote choice in how we deliver family care and how we promote child care. Because look, it is unacceptable. And, you know, of course, Tim and I have been on the campaign trail a lot the past 7 or 8 weeks. And one of the biggest complaints I hear from young families is people who feel like they don't have options, like they're choosing between going to work or taking care for their kids. That is an incredible
Wait, they have to choose? It's almost like they get a choice of what they do?
We're the only country that does it. I think we could do it.
Wow, he really cares about a mother's
Senator,
right
thank
to
you.
choose.
He really cares about a mother's right to
also
choose.
said, Senator Vance, many things about the American family. The Federal Reserve says parents will spend nearly as much on child care as they do on housing each month.
Oh my God.
So I want to get your thoughts on
That-
this.
I didn't know that statistic.
President Trump recently said, as much as child care is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kinds of numbers we'll be taking in. Is President Trump committed to the $5,000
I know,
per
'cause
child
Trump has
tax
been there.
credit that you
Trump has
have
had many
described?
kids.
You have
It
1
doesn't
minute.
take that much.
Well, what President Trump said, Margaret, I just want to defend my running
I'm
mate
putting
here a
this as
little bit,
Trump's
is
relationship
that
with
we're going to
Vance.
be taking in a lot of money by penalizing companies for
This is a
shipping
Trump
jobs
relationship with Vance.
overseas and penalizing countries
why
who
is it
employ
always
slave laborers
Vance is
and then
swallowing
ship
all
their
of
products
Trump's
back into our
kids.
country
Dude,
and
I'm so
undercut
ready
the
for
wages
Trump
of
to
American
come up here and
workers.
walk back
It's
everything
the heart
Vance
of
said.
the Donald Trump economic
I
plan.
know, that's
Cut
gonna be the
taxes
best
for
part.
American workers and
Sorry,
American
look, I
families.
didn't
Cut
talk to JD
taxes for
Vance
businesses
pre-debate.
that are
I don't
hiring
like
and
the
building
guy. I
companies
don't
in the
talk
United
to him.
States of America,
He's kind of
but
cringe.
penalize companies and countries that are shipping
JD Vance
little weird.
overseas. That's the heart of the
where he just
economic
gets
proposal.
kicked
And I
out
think
of the
what President Trump is saying is that when we bring in this additional revenue
Look, I let him
with
sit in
higher
the cuck
economic
chair
growth,
during my
we're going to be
debates.
able to provide paid family leave,
We're
child care
bringing
options
back
that are
Pence.
viable and workable for a lot of American families.
Take him off the lynch list. He's
Can you
back.
clarify how that will solve the
Look,
child
how do
care
you think
shortage?
Vance has 3 children?
Well,
He's sat
because,
in the
as
cuck.
Tim said, a lot of the child care shortage is we just don't have enough resources going into the
MPG
multiple
and
people who could
Marjorie
be providing
Taylor
family
Oh,
care
no,
options.
fuck
And
no.
we're going to have to, unfortunately, look,
Like,
we're
that
going to have
would
to
at least
spend more
be
money. We're going to have to induce
right?
more
No,
people
that'd
to
be
want to
so
provide
bad.
child care options for American
Yeah, but
families.
he's, like,
Because the
not
reason it's so
saying
expensive right
anything.
now is because you've got way
No one
too
does
few
during these
people
debates, to be
providing
fair.
this very essential service.
Thank you, Senator. Governor Walz, your ticket also has some child care tax credit proposals. Do you think Congress will agree to the $6,000 credit for newborns and $3,000 credit
Wait, this
for
could also
children
come back to
over the
school
age of
lunches.
6,
Hold up.
as your campaign has promised?
Potentially.
Eventually,
Well, if these
God damn
members
it,
of
no.
Congress are listening to anybody, I can tell
I
you.
will kick
and
you.
This is the biggest issue.
kidding.
Everybody
I'm
listening tonight
I
knows.
just
I'm
got
I'm
here.
shocked
No,
to
I'm
hear
kidding,
it's not
Riley,
that
I love you.
expensive. And let's be
I
clear,
know, I
whether it's
know.
5,000 or 6,000, that plays plays you about 3 or 4 months. Let's be clear of where we're at on this. It's because we got out of an imbalance on this. We thought we were going to get by not paying people. I don't think Senator Vance and I are that far apart. I'm not opposed to what he's talking about on options. We've done scholarship types of things. I think we need to be open to making the case.
This is like going back to like old debates. They're like, I don't think we're that far off. Like,
you're not going to pay for it with these tariffs. That's just adding another $4,000 on the family and taking less.
Yeah.
So not only do they not get the money to pay for that, they're $4,000 in the hole. That's Wharton School.
The cats and dogs. Look, Kamala's a liar.
I think the issue here is
the cats, they're eating the dogs. They're taking over Colorado with the Argentinian gangs.
Sure, they'll talk about taxes sometime, but they will lead with childcare and they will lead with housing because we know the problems, especially in a state like Minnesota.
I don't like Vance.
We need more work.
But he's being respectful
growing, but we need the workforce.
They're both being respectful here.
Thank
It's
you.
great.
We need to move on. Nora?
Let's talk about the state of democracy, the top issue for Americans after the economy and inflation. After the 2020 election, President Trump's campaign and others filed 62 lawsuits contesting the results. Judges, including those appointed by
I'm just
President
worried
Trump
about
and
Trump
other
using the Supreme
Republican
Court
presidents,
if the
looked
election
at the
doesn't go his
evidence
way.
and said there was no widespread fraud. The governors,
Margaret,
of
Margaret,
every
I didn't realize we were
state in the nation,
fact-checking here, Margaret.
Republicans and Democrats
bag.
certified the 2020
Empty
election
the
results
bag,
and sent
pussy.
a legal
This is
slate
100.
of electors
God,
to
no.
Congress for January 6th.
You don't need to wake
Senator
up that
Vance,
fast.
you have
You
said
do.
you would
You
not
don't need
have
your
certified the last
think about
presidential
it.
election
Wait.
and would have asked the states to
happen.
submit
Before your nose.
alternative electors.
live.
That has been called
It's so drowsy when you're
unconstitutional and
You don't
illegal.
need your
Would you again seek
Yeah,
to
it just
challenge
is.
this year's election results, even if every governor certifies the results? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Why is he
Well, Nora,
smiling
first of
like
all,
that?
I think that we're focused on the future. We need to figure out how to solve the inflation crisis caused by Kamala
What?
Harris's
I don't know.
policies.
Trump brings it back
Make
all
housing
the
affordable,
time.
make
Wait.
groceries affordable.
He's just
and
fucking
that's
gonna
what we're focused
filibuster.
on. But I want to answer your
Where's the
question because
policy?
you did
Where's
ask
the
it.
immigration thing?
Look, what President
I'm waiting
Trump
for
has said
immigration.
is
do
that
wanna
there
answer
were
your question.
problems
You
in
did ask
2020, and my own belief is that we should fight about those issues, debate those issues peacefully in the public square, and that's all I've said, and that's
Which I
all
think
that
is
Donald
Twitter.
Trump has said.
Right
Remember, he said that on January the 6th, the protesters ought to
Like
protest
what we're
peacefully. And on
fucking
January the
doing.
This is
20th,
what
what
this is
happened?
for.
Joe Biden became the president. Donald Trump left the White House, and now, of course,
And
unfortunately,
Trump has
we have
never
all
admitted that
of
he
the negative
lost.
policies that have come from the Harris-Biden administration.
That's
I
Biden
believe that
mentioned.
we actually do have a threat to democracy in this
Biden.
country, but unfortunately, it's
the
not the threat
fuck?
to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics.
Look, they're
It's big
censoring too
technology
many.
companies
They're censoring
silencing
too
their
many
fellow
people.
citizens.
If you
and it's
have
Kamala
repugnant
Harris saying
views,
that rather than
I don't
debate and
want to
persuade
Look,
her
I
fellow
can't go
Americans,
on
she
online.
wants
I
to
can't
censor
say my
people to
racist
engage in
slogans and
misinformation.
slurs now.
I
It's
think that is a
censorship.
much bigger threat to democracy
Guys,
than
I just
anything
wanna
that we've
say the
seen in
N-word
this
in public.
country
That's
in the
fine.
last 4 years, in the last 40 years.
Why are all you
And I'm
fucking
really
laughing at
proud,
friends with
especially
me
given that I
because
was
I
raised by
posted
two
so much on
lifelong
Facebook
blue-collar
about it?
Democrats
Oh
to
my
have
God.
the endorsement of Bobby Kennedy
Like-
Jr.
like
and Tulsi
that's
Gabbard,
totally censorship.
lifelong leaders in the Democratic coalition. And of course, they don't
You're
agree
giving
with
me
me and
mental
Donald Trump on
health.
every issue. We don't have to agree on
I
every
like how
issue,
that's the
but
way
we're
you
united
phrase it.
behind
Yeah,
a
but they also
basic
have-
American First
They
Amendment
also have
principle that
fucking
we ought to
endorsements from
debate our
Republican
differences.
people.
We
So
ought to argue
boo
about them. We ought to
fucking
try to
who?
persuade our fellow Americans. Kamala Harris is engaged in censorship at an industrial scale. She did it during
It's almost
COVID.
like, wait,
She's
wait,
done
so-
it over
wait,
a
we're
number of
saying-
other
censorship
issues, and that to
factory.
me is a
Wait,
much
we're
bigger
censoring.
threat
We're
to
saying that censorship is
democracy
bad, right?
than
So what
what
about Elon
Donald
Musk
Trump
censoring
said
like
when he said
actual
that
fucking
protesters should
election
peacefully protest
topics
on
on
January
Twitter
the
or
6th.
doing
Governor?
fucking election crimes on Twitter?
Well, I've
That-
enjoyed
he's
tonight's
not
debate. I think
democratic.
there's a
Is he
lot
doing
of commonality
censorship?
here. And I'm
That's
sympathetic to
you guys.
misspeaking on things, and I think I might
Maybe
have
you might need to
with
reset
the senator.
Me
But there's,
too, man.
There's one.
The
There's
what?
one though that this one is troubling
need
to
to
me, and I
reset
say
the
that because
Discord
I
one
think
real
we
quick.
need to tell the
Oh, yeah.
story. Donald Trump
Guys, why are
refused
you-
to acknowledge
Oh,
that. The
never
fact
mind.
is that I
Talking
don't
about
think
the
we can be the
Jewish
frog in the
question,
pot and
like,
let
what
the
the
boiling
fuck?
water go
Ruined
up. He was very clear. I mean, he lost this election, and he
lost
said
his
he didn't.
Yeah, he still
140
refused to
police
admit, even in the
officers were
last debate, he
beaten at the
refused to admit that he
Capitol
lost.
day. Some with the American flag, several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties. The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police. That issue, and Mike Pence standing there as they were chanting, hey, Mike Pence. Mike Pence made the right decision. So, Senator, it was adjudicated over and over and over. I worked with kids long enough to know, and I said as a football coach, sometimes you really want to
Coach
win,
Walz!
but the democracy is bigger than winning an election. you shake hands, and then you try and do everything you can to help the other side win. That's what was at stake here. Now, the thing I'm most concerned about is the idea that imprisoning your political opponents, already laying the groundwork for people not accepting this. And a president's words matter. A president's words matter.
Valid.
People hear that.
That's
so
good.
I think this issue of settling our differences at the ballot box, shaking hands when we lose, being honest about it, but to deny
Oh my gosh, the camera shake.
on January 6th, the first time in American history
but I think he's cooking, guys.
that a president or
No, he's
anyone
cooking.
tried to overturn a fair election and the peaceful transfer of power. And here we are 4 years later in the same boat. I will tell you this, that when this is over, we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner. This has got to stop. It's tearing our country apart.
That's so valid.
Margaret?
Senator Vance, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, well, look, Tim. First of all,
Tim.
it's really rich for leaders
I would
to say
never
that Donald
catch me
Trump is a
shaking any
unique threat
man's
to democracy when he
Tim, I don't shake hands.
gave over power on January the 20th.
I only shake hands with my wife.
250 years
Actually,
in this country.
it's not a lot
We're
of
going to shake
talking.
hands after this debate and after this election.
Only
Of course,
shake
Wait.
I hope that we win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll have my prayers, he'll have my best wishes, and he'll have my help
Thoughts and prayers.
whenever he wants
Prayers
it. But we
first
have to
is
remember
crazy.
No,
that
dude,
for years
they're
in this
actually-
country,
wait.
Democrats
No,
protested the
wait, hold on.
results of
They're
the
actually
election.
being
Hillary
respectful
Clinton in
here.
2016
You know?
said that
That's
Donald
what
Trump
he's good
had
at.
the election
Geek,
stolen
if it was Trump up
by
here,
Vladimir
Trump would be
Putin
like,
because
look,
the
if
Russians
Kamala
bought
wins, I'm gonna say it.
$500,000 worth
It's
of
because
Facebook
she's a
ads.
DEI
This
hire.
has been going on for a
You know?
long time.
Exactly.
And if we
The
want to
American
say
people
that
gave
we
a
need to
DEI
respect the
hire.
results of the election,
Look, he's like,
I'm
look,
on
I'll
board.
shake Walz's
But if we wanna
hand.
say,
He'll have
as
my
Tim
prayer.
Walz is
Like,
saying that this is just a
They
problem
only
that
voted
Republicans have
for
had,
because you
I don't buy that.
Or Indian. I can't remember.
January 6th was not Facebook
Look,
ads.
he became black
And
4
I
years
think
ago
the
just to win the
revisionist
vote.
history on this. Look,
Your
I
skin is darker than mine. That's all
don't
I know.
understand how we got to this point. But the issue was
I don't know what that means
happened.
per se, but
Donald Trump
Thank
didn't
you
do
for
it.
the
And all of
follow,
us said
Rays.
there's no
Welcome
place
on
for this.
in.
It has massive repercussions. This idea that there's censorship to stop people from threatening to kill someone, threatening to do something, that's not censorship. Censorship is book banning. We've seen that.
Oh!
We've seen that brought up. I just think for everyone tonight, and I'm going to
yeah, I was about to
thank
tell
Senator
him
Vance.
2KMS.
I think this is
now
the
I'm not.
conversation they want to
For the
hear.
KYS.
And I think there's a lot of agreement.
They're
This
being
is one
so
that we are miles
respectful,
apart
though.
on. This was a threat to our
This
democracy
is what debate
in a
should
way that
be.
we had not
They're
seen.
at least being respectful
and
of
it
each other.
manifested
Now,
itself
next to
because
the
of
couch.
Donald Trump's
I think
inability to
this
say.
matches
He
on
is still
like-
saying he didn't lose the election. I
Then
would just
it
ask,
would've been
did he
fun,
lose the
though.
2020 election?
Wait.
Tim, I'm
just a
focused on the
poster,
future.
right?
Did Kamala Harris censor
I think both of
Americans
these
from
guys are great,
speaking their
not gonna
mind
lie.
in the
I
wake
don't
of the
believe
2020
Vance is a good
COVID
person.
situation?
That is
But
a
at least they're being
damning- that is a
respectful
damning
right now, I will
non-answer.
say.
Has she? It's a
I'm
damning
more
non-answer for you to
left-leaning,
not
so.
talk about censorship.
being-
Obviously,
being
Donald
a
Trump and I
Republican.
look at there were problems in 2020.
He's being Republican, but
We've
he's being
talked about
respectful
it.
at
I'm
least.
happy to
He's
talk
not being
about it further.
conservative.
But you guys
His policies are
attack
conservative,
us
but he's not
for
acting like
not
a conservative.
believing in
He's being an
democracy. The
actual
most sacred
Republican
right
politician.
under the
Yeah.
United States democracy
not-
is the
which is
First
bare
Amendment.
minimum.
You
Yeah.
yourself have said
Yeah.
there's no First
But he's
Amendment
still a
right to
Republican.
misinformation.
Yeah,
Kamala Harris wants to
no
use the
threatening or
power
hate
of
speech.
government
His
and
his
big tech
ideas,
to
his
silence
concepts
people
and
from
policies.
speaking
No,
their mind.
what?
That
No.
is a threat to democracy that
Trump
will
is a
long
douche. Oh,
outlive this
100%.
present political moment.
Trump is a
I would like
Trump-
Democrats and
that's why I
Republicans
say,
to both
between
reject
Republican and
censorship.
conservative.
Diddy
Let's
Vance
and like
persuade
Stephen-
one another. Let's
What?
argue
What
about
are you
ideas and
talking
then let's
about
come together
censorship,
afterwards.
bro?
You can't yell fire in a crowded
Hey,
theater.
look, Kamala
That's
Harris
the
is
test. That's the
censoring
Supreme Court
everything.
test.
She's got
Tim,
big
fire
tech
in
in
a
her
crowded theater.
pocket.
You guys
Clearly.
want to people off of Facebook
guy's
for
honestly
saying
Wait,
Tyler
wait,
Schroeder
wait,
is
wait, shut up.
Sorry.
I'm talking about
Crowded
Facebook, bro.
Theater.
That is a private company
criticizing the
with
policies of
private
the
rules.
government,
That is
which
not-
the right
They're
of
kicking
every
him off of
American.
Senator, the
Facebook.
governor does have the
Regulated
floor
by-
for 1 minute. to
Look,
respond
I
to
can't
your
post my
point.
children on Facebook
I
anymore.
don't run Facebook. What I do know is
I don't run
see a
Facebook.
candidate out there
Bro,
who refused,
if
and
you're
now
talking shit
again,
about
and this,
Facebook,
I'm
where are
pretty
your
shocked by
clips
this.
gonna blow up?
He
Also,
lost
if
the
you're talking
election.
about Facebook,
This is not a debate. It's not.
talking about
It's not
Twitter,
anything
bro.
anywhere other than in Donald Trump's world. Because look,
Oh my gosh.
when Mike Pence
You
made that
have
decision
social if you really
to
give a
certify
shit
that
about
election, that's why Mike Pence
No,
isn't on the
Trump is
stage.
Trump has
What
made
I'm
a
concerned
cult
about
like
is
following
where
of
is
the
the
Republican Party
firewall
members. It is
with
there's a reason
Donald
I call it the
Trump?
MAGA cult.
Where is the
Trump is
firewall
abysmal
if he
as a
knows
politician.
Weird.
At
He
least
could do
Vance can
anything,
hold himself
including
in a better
taking
like
an election
respectful
and his vice
way
president's
than
not going to
Trump
stand to it. That's what we're
I like
asking
Walz.
you,
He had a video
America.
about the economy.
Will
while
you
finishing his
stand
call.
up?
Walz is just dad
Will you
energy.
keep your oath
Walz
of
is
office,
just your Midwestern
even
dad.
if the president doesn't.
I call him
think
Daddy
Kamala Harris
personally.
would agree that she wouldn't have picked me if she didn't think I would do that.
I
Because of
hate,
course
hate
that's
the
what we
MAGA
would do.
cult.
So
Same.
America, I think you've got
Look,
a
I'm not
really
Republican.
clear choice on
My
this
family's
election
are- my
of
family
who's
members are
going to honor
Republican.
that democracy.
I can respect
and
We
their
who's
had
going
views.
to honor
Macro
Donald
Summer.
Trump.
We now have
Governor,
Zaddy
your time
Fall.
is up.
I can
Thanks,
respect my
gentlemen.
family's views
We will
because
be
they don't
right
hate
back
LGBTQ
with
plus
both of
people.
our
They don't
candidates. The CBS
hate race,
News
like they're not
vice
racist, stuff like that.
presidential debate.
So I can respect.
think,
No,
yeah,
no, they're
he's
coming back. They're
segment.
coming back.
One more.
Let's go
Oh, yeah,
pull up that
Christmas
fact checking though.
PBS fact check.
Vance plucks out Trump's peaceful line at January 6th. Plucks out is such an interesting word there. Trump used the word peacefully once during the speech. I know that everyone here will be marching over the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard, but that ignores Trump's words and actions that led up to January 6th in his full remarks.
But when are they ever going to do that?
Vance said that the election was stolen from Trump. That flies in the face of evidence, including the Trump administration officials and courts.
They completely like
we live in the age of the internet. You can't just say shit like this.
Wait, Vance supported a national abortion ban before becoming Trump's running mate.
Right?
Vance exaggerated some prices. Vance said what Walz has actually, or what Harris has actually done, is drive the cost of food higher than 25%, drive the cost of housing higher than 60%. Grocery prices have risen 22% since they took office. Housing has risen 38%. Beyond that, inflationary pressures that drove up are not purely the fault of the Biden-Harris administration. Economists told PolitiFact that the main factors driving inflation was the post-pandemic supply chain backups and Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Sorry, I didn't get you, Cosmo.
That's fine.
Even though I might lean slightly right, I really respect Walz and Vance is being respectful. Yeah, look. Yeah, this is exactly how the debate in 2012 of Obama versus Romney was. And this is how debate should be. They're being respectful of each other. Now, again, I consider myself a lot more left-leaning because I am a socialist. I believe in LGBTQ plus rights. I'm pro-choice. My rule with politics.
Same issue, by the way. That's all under socialism.
I mean, no, it's not. No, it's not. But my rule in politics is as long as you're not a dick, and as long as you're not trying to push your views on someone else, and as long as you're not degrading someone for who they are. Like, if someone came in here and started saying slurs, that's bad. That's being a dick. That's degrading. That's something that the presidential candidates have done, which is insane.
Yeah.
So like, if you have a differing opinion, that's okay. I just don't like differing opinions on the fact of someone being a fucking human or someone being who they are. Mind your own damn business, kind of thing. Like, how does the fact that I am LGBTQ plus affecting you?
Oh, am I being
the answer
fed?
is it's not. If I am gay as shit in my as myself, it's not affecting you. Don't be around me. Oh, 100%. Don't be around me if I'm gay as shit and it somehow offends you. Like, how is it actually, like, the fact that people are so fucking focused on genital, like, Republicans are so fucking focused on doing trans inspections of, like, look, this person does, like, Amon Khalif doesn't look like they're passing, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at their fucking genitals. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why does it matter?
And his balls.
Let me see the cock and balls. I'm saying what?
Hey,
that's what I want.
Has balls, please.
Hey,
That's
girl,
what I wanna
boy,
see.
they,
Let me
them.
see- let
Show
me
me
see
what
the
you're working with.
Like, I don't dislike Republicans. I dislike MAGA cultists, and I dislike far-right conservatives who put into question who people are.
I dislike Republicans.
I mean, I think there's when we're saying Republicans, I'm going to make a separation here of Republican, like, my parents are conservative when it comes to the economy. I don't agree with them, but they also aren't homophobic
But they're
and
capital,
racist.
like full capitalists at heart, right?
Yeah.
That's
They're
what
not
it is.
homophobic and racist, though. They're not dicks about it, like stuff like that. I consider those people Republicans. I consider conservatives the ones that are fucking, like, the ones always trying to push this LGBTQ plus. Like, look, the gay family is ruining our family dynamics. Like, no, they're not.
Gay family. The
In fact,
alphabet.
It's like, look, the alphabet. Yeah. Look, the fucking pronouns. Why is there pronouns in Starfield? I don't have any Oh, wait. They're back. They're back.
We're so back.
We're so back.
Welcome back to the CBS News Vice Presidential Debate. It is now time for the closing statement. Senator Vance won the virtual coin toss and elected to go last.
That 100% respect to everyone. I just don't agree with biological males and female sports. Sorry if I disagree.
Thank you, Senator Vance.
I mean,
thank you
there's
to
a
CBS
difference in
News.
that,
And most importantly, thank you to all of you. If you're still up and the folks who miss Dancing with Our Stars, I appreciate it.
But look, said thank you to
support
Dancing
of the
with the
democracy
Stars.
matters. It matters that
He's
you're
such
here.
a fucking Midwestern
And I'm as
dad.
surprised as anybody.
You know he wanted
this
to watch that.
Kamala
You know he's
Harris
recorded on
has
his
built.
DVR.
From Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift.
Oh, Taylor Swift mentioned.
And they don't all agree on everything,
Oh!
but they are truly optimistic people. They believe in a positive future of this country and one where our politics can be better than it is. And I have to tell you, that better than it is the sense of optimism that there can be an opportunity economy that works for everyone, not just to get by, but to get ahead. And the idea that freedom really means something. Not the freedom of government to be in your bedroom or exam room, but the freedom for you to make choices about yourself. Now, look, we all know who Donald Trump is. He's told us, and as Maya Angelou said, believe it when he told you that. His first inaugural address talked about American carnage. And then he spent 4 years trying to maybe do that. Senator Vance tonight made it clear he will stand with Donald Trump's agenda. He will continue to push down that road. Excuse me. Kamala Harris gives us a different option. Now, I'll have to tell you, I'm going to be careful about the quotes, but there's one that Senator Vance said that does resonate with me.
Oh?
He said, Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way. We don't need to be afraid. Franklin Roosevelt was right. All we have to fear is fear itself. Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. She's bringing us a politics of joy. She's bringing real solutions for the middle class, and she's centering you at the heart of that. All the while asking everyone, join this movement, make your voices heard. Let's look for a new day where everybody gets that opportunity and everybody gets a chance to thrive. I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th for Kamala Harris.
Governor Walz, thank you. Senator Vance, your closing statement.
Well, I want to thank Governor Walz, CBS, and of course the American people for tuning in this evening. And one of the issues we didn't talk about was energy. And I remember when I was being raised by my grandmother, when she didn't have enough money to turn on the heat some nights because Ohio gets pretty cold at night, and because money was often very tight. And I believe, as a person who wants to be your next vice president, that we are a rich and prosperous enough country where every American, whether they're rich or poor, ought to be able to turn on their heat in the middle of a cold winter night. That's gotten more difficult thanks to Kamala Harris's energy policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford a nice meal for your family. That's gotten harder because of Kamala Harris's policies. No, I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford to buy a house. You ought to be able to live in safe neighborhoods.
It's not Kamala Harris's policies, you dipshit.
Flooded with fentanyl, and that too has gotten harder with Kamala because of Kamala Harris's policies. Now, I've been in politics long enough to do what Kamala Harris does when she stands before the American people and says that on day one, she's going to work on all these challenges I just listed. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years.
She's been the vice president.
Days ago, and her policies have made these problems worse. Now, I believe that we have the most beautiful country in the world. I meet people on the campaign trail who can't afford food, but have the grace and generosity to ask me how I'm doing.
He's saying, I think we have the most country in the world. People can't afford food, but they have generosity. They have common sense,
the most beautiful country, the most incredible people anywhere in the world. But they're not going to be able to achieve their full dreams with the broken leadership that we have in Washington. They're not going to be able to live their American dream if we do the same thing that we've been doing for the last 3.5 years. We need change. We need a new direction. We need a president who has already done this once before and did it well.
And failed.
Please vote for Donald Trump. And whether you vote for me or vote for Tim Walz, I just want to say I'm so proud to be doing this, and I'm rooting for you. God bless you, and good night.
Senator Vance, thank you.
The fucking respect
and thank you
here,
both
at least.
for participating in the only vice presidential debate of this election cycle.
Can see Kamala
I'm Margaret
is a
Brennan.
puppet. Kamala's not a puppet. Kamala's the fucking vice president. What do you mean puppet?
Please get out and vote. And for all of us here at CBS News, thank you and good night.
Out of the office. Get out. Yeah, they're actually taking the cameraman away.
Also, Kamala's the fucking vice president. She can't do shit other than vote on tie breaks. All right, how many bingos did we get tonight?
I think just the one.
Guys, they're
touching. We got
touching. Guys, they're touching.
The first
Guys, they're
presidential
touching.
debate. This election is now complete.
I thought he was going to make fun of her.
Cordial debate
I
of the
thought he was
kind
going to be
that
like,
people mostly say they want.
Whoa, you handshook his They're
shaking hands!
Wow,
From,
that's flirting. That's flirting.
Presidential debate in which it was
Walz
not even
should not
sure
be
that Vice President
shaking
Harris
hands with other
nomination
women.
Kids, come on,
It
kiss.
was a debate in which the line, I appreciate what Tim said
Dude,
about
they actually
Finland,
shook hands
was one of the
post-debate
many
too,
ways
though.
in which Senator Vance agreed.
Oh my gosh, they're shaking hands at the moderator.
That's the tone and the kind of theater review of this. I'll pick out two issues. On the question of the top of the news today, which is the Middle East and the kinds of foreign policy surprises that hit any president. Tim Walz made the case that Donald Trump's temperament.
Okay, I will say, I do not agree with JD. What the fuck just chirped in my ear?
With JD Walz.
Wait, what was that ding? What the fuck was
Leave me
that?
alone. Akira!
Wait, what was that ding? I'm so confused. I don't know what that was, but okay. I will say,
this guy might
I don't
be
agree with
Tetsuo.
JD Vance. I don't believe in JD Vance's policies. I don't believe in half of the shit that JD Vance spews. But, this is how debate should fucking be. JD Vance and Tim Walz were both respectful of each other. They both said, my opponent here agrees with me. My opponent here has a good point. They shook hands. They were saying they didn't do name calling. They didn't do shit like that.
My
They
opponent
talked
is
about
spitting.
policy. They said,
Bars, Your Honor.
yeah, it's Kamala is literally a communist. Define communism, Timmy. Define communism. But
She is though.
no,
She
Timmy,
gave the
define
kids free
communism, and then we can talk.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
But they actually had a good debate here. I will agree with that. I don't agree with JD Vance. I don't like JD Vance, but his performance tonight was very respectful. Y'all are gonna get fucked if she gets elected, but good luck. I'm LGBTQ+. I'm gonna get fucked if Trump is elected.
But you want to get fucked.
Shut the fuck up. But
This
no,
has a question.
Timmy, define communism. If you're gonna make a claim that Kamala is a communist and her father was a communist professor, define communism. It's a simple request.
Like her dad did. She's not her dad.
Yeah, but no, but someone look, they're making the claim that Kamala is a communist. I want them to
Her
define
policies
communism.
do not reflect that, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, I fucking wish they did.
Right.
Holy shit. But no, again, I don't agree with JD Vance. But tonight he was very fucking communism is a system where you give everyone equal equity. So communism is actually a classless, moneyless system, and essentially where everything that is done is going to be for the equality of people. And also, wait, giving everyone equal equity is not bad. Everyone gets the same. That's not communism.
No.
Communism is not everyone gets the same. Communism does put into the fact that every person should have the same chances. However, communism does not believe the fact that everyone's going to get paid the same. Communism doesn't have that thing of money. Socialism is not the same thing either. Socialism does believe that some jobs are more valuable than others. If you're having a fucking surgery, you're going to want a doctor. Doctors will get paid more. However, what socialism believes is that there should be safety nets and there should be a bare minimum that people can perform their jobs and still live without this fucking understanding that I have to go into debt for healthcare. I have to go into debt for food. I have to go into debt for half of the shit that I do in fucking America.
I mean,
Socialism
Norway's clearly going
is
under,
essentially
guys. I don't
putting
know.
the fucking means of production back in the workers. It's giving the workers ownership of their work instead of a CEO who makes $15 billion plus comparative to the worker. So,
It's America.
Why do Republicans deserve respectful debates at this point? Because they've fucked the country so much since Reagan.
Oh no, I agree.
I think we got to be mad at them a little bit.
That's just over there in America. No, America is right now a neo-capitalistic society. Are you kidding me? I'm a PhD student. Do you know how much I get fucking paid for doing the work that I do? Basically nothing. Do you know how
JD Vance just told us we can't trust PhD students.
Oh, you're so right. I'm sorry. I don't have common sense.
You haven't studied common sense, Ava.
Oh shit! All my arguments go out the window. We don't got to pay $100K for a medical bill. Exactly, because you know what you have? You have non-privatized healthcare. That is a socialistic policy. That is having social safety nets. Americans don't like the word socialism because they think it's a bad thing because it's anti-capitalist. Not having to go in debt for medical bills. Yeah, college is a scam. College is not a scam. Would you rather me as a person going into pharmaceutical science? Oh, no. To a degree, I believe that you shouldn't have to pay for college. But I don't believe that the education system is a scam. Would you rather me not have to go to college to be a PhD student in pharmaceutical sciences and make drugs for you? Because I kind of want people to be experts in their field. I kind of want a doctor who is going to operate on me to know what they're doing. I believe that in America, college is too fucking expensive for people to afford, and it should just be free. But
don't look at us. Don't look at us.
Don't look at us.
We're like, our school's fucked.
Oh yeah, no, look, it's gender studies. What's wrong about gender studies?
I'm dying out here, bro.
Seems simple. Wait, okay, so you're saying gender studies. Do you think that we shouldn't study gender? Only two. There's not only two genders. Gender is a spectrum.
We're gonna go. This is gonna be a whole debate.
Would you like to look at nature? I think we
gotta. All right, first we should probably look at more if there's any more fact checks.
Oh, that's so valid. But no, if you're saying gender is only two, then look at nature. Nature is gay as fuck. Vance overlooks improvements in the take-home pay under Biden-Harris. Vance said Donald Trump's economic policies deliver the highest. Walz study biology. I'm a pharmaceutical scientist. I have to do biology, dumbass. Biology even agrees that what you're talking about here is you're talking about sex. Sex and gender are two very different things.
Ava, you're talking to a Redditor. You have to preface every sentence with, as a biologist.
Walz study biology is such a funny thing to tell a PhD student who is doing a biochemistry style fucking degree. Yeah, I need to study biology. What do you think I'm fucking spending 5 years doing, dipshit?
That's my only addition.
Vance
not a PhD student, don't have common sense, but I brought the chip.
I brought
they aren't. Yes, they are. Gender is something that is culturally defined. Sex is something that is determined from biology. However,
yeah, this is just, there's no nuance there, guys. Like, just get that done. That's not a nuanced shit.
Biologists even agree on this. If you're saying, oh, study biology, look at fucking biology agree to this. Look at doctors agree to this. You say QAnon?
All right. No, moving on.
Oh, moving. I heard QAnon. I was gonna say what?
QAnon.
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 See, I was reading QAnon and they had some pretty.
Says who?
He was.
Bring back Q. Wait. So, let me understand this.
Bringing back Q. What?
They killed my boy.
Look, I would like to add. Says me, right? There's also studies that show this. There's also a lot of different articles. There's also things that you can research. Google Scholar is a, tell me the third gender then. Gender is a spectrum, dipshit.
That's fine. You bought them.
I bought them? Yeah, I do. Gender is a spectrum. Hermaphrodite isn't a gender. Okay?
That was just homophobic. Like, that's just...
Hermaphrodite. So hermaphrodite is someone that is born normally with both types of genitalia. That is something that is caused by genetic mutations. Genetic mutations are a thing that do happen. Wow, who would have thought it? Spectrum.
All right, yes, we'll continue these in either the Twitch.
Hermaphrodite is crazy.
Continue in either the whispers or in some DMs.
No, God, no. Do not fucking DM me. Do not fucking DM me. No shot.
Hermaphrodite.
Look, you're also in the stream of someone who is gender fluid, dumbass. What do you think I'm gonna say? Fuck. Who would have thought? Wow. No, I'm not having that in my chat.
Yeah, at this point, they're just derailing. If anything,
let's see some PolitiFact.
Yeah.
No. There's been nothing new updated right now. Other than the overlooking of the.
These are our communities. We get to decide the freedom of speech.
Exactly.
Fuck also, like, look, I let them go for a while. Chat, again, you're welcome to have a different opinion than me. But also, if you're gonna if you're gonna say lol, study biology, at least do your fucking research before you come in and talk about this shit. Like, at least be educated in the fact that gender is just a cultural normative thing. Because look, you want to know something? Look back at the fucking ancient Greece. Look back at times before that. Guess what? Gender was all fucky-wucky then too. Oh, Greeks were hella gay. Oh no. It's almost like this is a fucking cultural thing.
Yeah.
Greeks were like evil gay though.
Wait, I'm
Like,
sorry.
I think
What?
Well, like historically, like they were like
evil gay.
This is a whole tangent I've been on.
That's
but like
so
the
funny.
culture, the cultural conventions around homosexuality in ancient Greece were like kind of fucked up in a lot of ways. Like I think
on the gay alignment chart, they're in the chaotic evil.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're like we've definitely moved like way further in terms of being gay, like leaps and bounds, not just in terms of like legality, but also just like
they're one of the good ones, guys.
The issue is that conservatives, far-right MAGA cultists want to remove that legality. They believe that two men cannot raise a child effectively, even though, of course, if you look at fucking MAGA like cultists, most of their children fucking hate them. Who would have thought? Wow, it's almost like, look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a MAGA cultist. Look at his children. His children fucking hate him openly.
They're out of there.
Yeah.
For real.
As soon as they became adults or had the opportunity, they fucking
doesn't like him back.
Except for like his fail sons.
No, not even. No,
Like
that's
his
Trump you're
fail sons
thinking
stay
of.
around. Oh wait, right. We're talking about
Musk has none of his children actually love him.
Yeah, Musk is just a
yeah. And again, like it's
a bad father.
Yeah, it's sad because like all of these Republicans put like all of the, wait first. I'm gonna differentiate between here Republicans and far right. All of these MAGA cultists push family values. They don't care about family values. Family values.
Yeah, amen. We do.
Look, do you know they're like, look, cops have good families. Do you know the amount of cops that fucking beat their wives? Insane numbers. Cops are statistically more probable to be like abusers. Have you not seen that?
That per se, but yes.
No, I think that's actually true. You know, like I don't know if it's a oh yeah, 40%.
Two studies have found at least 40% of police officers' families experience domestic violence, in contrast to 10% of the families in the generalistic population.
Wow.
Yeah. No, when I say cops are like...
I mean, practice what you preach, am I right?
Look,
pull up how much of the population is cops right now?
Oh, God.
If I could
type by making up 0.2% of the population. 40% of
2.4 in 1,000 people.
Ooh. I was literally...
That's a lot.
I was spot on. Almost. By like
that's a lot of people, though. Because you have to realize the United States has like... How many people are in the United States?
Millions of people.
It's like one of the most heavily policed societies.
Also, do you want to know the funniest statement I've ever learned? And I'll pull this up, too. It is more dangerous to be a farmer than it is to be a cop.
To be fair, it's not dangerous to be a farmer.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, cops are always like, we're the most dangerous job in the world, brothers. It is more dangerous to be a farmer than it is to be a cop. Yeah. Also, if you look up the
more dangerous to be a welder than to be a cop.
If you look up cop death statistics, because they're like, yeah, we're getting shot at all the time, brother. Most of the time it's friendly fire. Other times it is, yeah, here we go. So let me see. The top ones are automobile crashes, horse-related incidents have one, job-related illnesses.
Horse-related? Wait, no. We don't get to skip the horse-related incident. Who the fuck is Enum clawing themselves at the like local PD?
But look, okay, so let me see here. Where is shot? Cops were shot 541 times. And again, this is also accounting for friendly fire. Would you like to look at the COVID-related deaths for cops? 802? Wow. It's almost like the cause of deaths in cops has actually been, like, I don't know, super highly non-sophisticated for the fact of a lot of the times it's struck by vehicle, automobile crash,
9/11 related illness.
Automobile crash, gunfire.
9/11 gave him COVID.
No.
But no, look, like if you look at like the actual statistics of how cops die, a lot of it is friendly fire. A lot of it is being struck by vehicles. A lot of it was fucking COVID. A minuscule percent was gunshots from other sources. It's insane. But yet we believe that cops are the most dangerous job in the fucking country. And we should fund the law enforcement more. No, we should not have a fucking militarized law enforcement. I don't want a fucking tank. APC, like I don't want an APC, which is an armored plate carrier, an armored personnel carrier, to roll up to my house if, I don't know, someone calls me in because they're swatting me. I think that's a pretty normal thing to ask for.
That sounds anti-capitalist of you.
I mean, that's just the fucked up thing, is that already happens, right? That's already the status quo. But obviously we need to protect police officers from, like,
the debate
horses.
The debate was in New York.
Look, the police officers need more protection from their union. Which also, the police officer union is one of, like, the only unions that I do not agree with. The police officer union...
Oh, yeah, no, the police officers union only exists to allow cops to, like, kill
get away with murder, yeah.
Possible. Yeah, yeah.
It's the Blue Lives equivalent to a cookout.
Yeah.
Don't clip that.
I won't. Oh my gosh, that's so fucking funny. All right, chat. I went on a lot of tangents tonight. I do have work in the morning, and I've drank a bunch, so I'm gonna go get some water and some more food in my tummy. Chat, we're gonna go say hello to a lovely friend of ours, Shanna Lay. In case you don't know Shanna, she's a part of our lovely, lovely stream team. And this also goes for anyone who is in Twitch chat or TikTok or anywhere else that you are. If you would like to go say
them chips like you're Gollum, bro.
Yeah.
If you would like to go say hi to Shanna Lay, I would recommend doing so because she is a fucking sweetheart. But she is doing some stuff for Spooktober, chat, because today is October 1st. And while that was the vice presidential debate, a lot of other people are also just doing things normally for like Halloween and horror games. I can't say horror properly, chat. You guys know this. When I say horror, I mean horror, the genre of scary things, not horror, the line of derogatory term for sex work. But
both are scary for me.
Yeah, Geek is afraid of women. But we're gonna go say hello to Shanna. Please, please, please show her some love and support. And I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. I will be back tomorrow learning how to dance with a VTuber who just got their tracking software.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What does the love